All right, let's get ourselves going here. It is now 4:01, and I would like to call to order the Town of Farmington Office of the Town Manager regular Town Council meeting. It's March 12th, Thursday. And Bruce, would you like to lead us in the pledge, please?
Pleasure.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, let's go to our next item, C, public comment. If anyone here in chambers would like to make a comment, 5 minutes, please come up to the podium, give us your name and address, and you're welcome to come up. Not seeing anyone in chambers who would like to make a comment. Do we have anyone online who raised their hand and would like to make a comment?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay. Well, then we will close public comment. I'm thinking we should take a break just from.
Nope. I think
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
go. That's right.
have public comment.
Oh, okay. Let's go with public comment.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Okay. Are we going
Just in time for Dave. Dave.
And then we'll get into it.
No, we're gonna have the library.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Go. Yes.
All right. All right. Let's move on to our budget discussions, and we're going to begin with our library today.
And that is page, I think 9 in your budget. Make sure I got the right page. It's 9 or 18.
18.
18. 18.
Yeah, Welcome, Jocelyn.
You ready?
We are ready.
All right. Thank you, Chair Conley. Thank you, members of the council, for giving me this opportunity to talk with you today about the library and our budget request. And I just have a few remarks, and then I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have. I am so proud of the work our library team performs every day to help our residents have the best day ever at the library. It's an honor to be part of that journey and to play a role in fostering and strengthening connections across our diverse communities. Our library continues to evolve and serve broader purposes within the community. The library of today looks very different, perhaps, from the library of your youth. While we continue to offer anchor services such as providing reading material, computer access, printing, quiet study spaces, and thoughtful programming, we are also a vibrant community center where people come to learn new skills, create in our makerspace, explore in our kids' space, and rediscover play in our teen space. I invite you to visit the main library at 10 a.m. on Friday mornings or the Barney on Tuesdays at 10:45, where you'll find 50, 60, sometimes 100 toddlers and their caregivers as they leave our Tots and Tunes and Movers and Groovers program and make their way into our kids' place. You'll find our earliest learners making new friends and exploring reading material and our spaces. You'll also see parents, grandparents, and caregivers building foundational relationships that they will carry with them through their lives. The building is buzzing with exuberance and unfettered joy. At 2:30, when the high school bell rings, 50 to 100 students make their way to the second floor to study, complete their homework, or unwind from the day. It's controlled chaos, and the energy levels are through the roof. There's something magical about seeing teenagers doing their thing in a place that provides them with a safe space, a loose structure, while allowing them to be themselves. We provide first-time jobs for teens through our PAGE program and rely heavily on our teen volunteers to help with many of our larger events. On Tuesday and Thursday throughout the day, the second floor is home to the town's adult education ESL classes, and it's delightful to provide a learning environment for the newest residents of our community and support the great work of the adult education program and of the learners themselves. From my office, I can hear them grow in confidence as they master a new language and a new culture. Throughout any given day, community members utilize our study rooms and meeting spaces to convene, work, and develop their skills. They use our computers and digital resources to grow their businesses, to share their expertise and knowledge, and to create connections. Community members browse our shelves, settle into comfortable chairs to read the newspaper or a good book. Local creators are building and making in our makerspace. The entire library is vibrant and alive, and sometimes it's even quiet. The libraries aren't just for folks who can travel to our physical locations. Our outreach program delivers reading material, and for some members of our community, human interaction for those who are homebound or living in one of our many facilities in town. They can't travel to us, so we go to them, spreading library joy. Our digital resources are available to anyone with a library card and an internet connection. When you download a book from the library on your phone or stream a movie to your living room, you are bringing the library into your space. The library is truly wherever our patrons are, and that's an incredible thing. And the libraries are all about partnerships. We curate materials for our teachers to use in their classrooms, provide programming in partnership with local organizations like the Land Trust, the Historical Society, the Lewis Walpole Library, the Unionville Museum, and others. We participate in community events organized by Community Services, the Senior Center, the School District, Parks and Recreation, and the Cultural District Advisory Committee. We are so grateful for these and many other partnerships. We also have a strong cadre of volunteers from throughout the community, local teens, college students, and adults who so far this year have donated 509 hours of their time to the library. We're open 6 days a week, a combined 100 hours between the Main and Barney libraries. And since the start of the fiscal year, so since July 1, almost 17,000 people have attended library programs. Our meeting rooms were booked 2,300 times. Local creators used our makerspace for over 970 hours. We answered over 21,000 questions and lent more than 230,000 physical items and 36,000 digital items to our users. Our website realized 220,000 visits, and our databases were used over 4,000 times. And we issued 800 new library cards to our residents. We want to continue to increase this number, as currently more than half of our residents still need to come get their library card. I'm proud of what we're able to accomplish within our means. We continue to build a robust collection which provides access to information to our community, hosts programs with leading presenters, and dedicates significant staff time to building curriculum for our youth programs to promote a love of lifelong learning and continue to expand our community partnerships by leading from a place of yes. And this is all good news. As we begin to reimagine our spaces, we engaged SP&A architects to conduct a condition assessment of our 2 aging buildings and to help us build an infrastructure capital plan. The main library was built in 1983 with an addition added in 2003, while the Barney Library is over 100 years old and was last updated in 2011. As with any aging structure, deferred maintenance is always an issue, and we have a number of core infrastructure needs in addition to any programmatic updates we might want to pursue. For example, the HVAC system, the HVAC system at the main library has reached the end of its useful life, and it is beginning to fail. Over the last 18 months, we spent more than $40,000 from our operations budget in emergency repairs to keep the system going. Our roof is also in need of replacement. With fluctuations in severe weather, milestone rainfall in the last 2 years, snowfall, wind, and drought, the roof has consistently leaked in multiple spots. And we've invested over $90,000 of operation funds to make those repairs to mitigate water damage inside the building as much as possible. But a full replacement will be necessary in the next few years. I share this with you. We don't have a capital request. You're not seeing that reflected in our budget request, but I share this with you because the Farmington Village Green and Library Association, which is the governing body of the library, will need community investment to assist in replacing these critical pieces of infrastructure so we can continue to provide the exceptional experiences our residents expect. I've shared our capital plan with the town manager, and I look forward to future conversations with Ms. Blonsky, members of the council, and others in the community as we work collectively to ensure our buildings are safe and secure. In fiscal year 2027, the town's grant to the library, as you can see from the detailed budget before you, with a 3% increase over last year, or $91,749, will allow us to continue to provide the amazing resources and services I described above. Our services are made possible by the support we receive annually from the town, as well as from the generosity of the Friends of the Farmington Libraries and the FVGLA. We've also received small grants from Community Chest, the Garmany Fund, and local businesses. Even more, none of the wonderful things at the Farmington Libraries would exist without our greatest asset, the staff, who daily build and maintain our collections and our relationships with and experiences for our community members. Finally, I want to invite each of you to join us on Sunday, March 22nd, next Sunday, from 1 to 4 for our annual Maker Fair. And just to get this on your calendars early, June 18th for our summer reading kickoff, which takes place in our parking lot. I want to thank you again for your consideration and your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Keith, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Hi, Jocelyn.
Hi.
First, I want to say it's great that your request comes in on the lower side of what our town council target was for spending. So I think it's great that the library tries to do stretches a dollar. I won't belabor it because I think I tell the story every time that you come in, but your first day that you worked, you were in that resource room on the first floor with buckets, right? Like two buckets in each hand, getting water out of one area, moving it to the other area. So literally your first day on the job. So the building certainly has things. And I'm shocked that a municipal building in Farmington needs HVAC. I can't believe it. So it is something for us to keep in mind as we talk about capital, because it's another thing that we're going to need on top of everything else. I wanted to ask about a couple things. One was, does the door ticker work? I know that when I was on the board, it worked sometimes, didn't work sometimes.
Yeah, our door ticker sometimes kind of fails for like a week or two at a time, and then it comes back online. So our the gate count numbers that I say, the number of people who come through our doors, is probably a little underestimated.
But in general, we attendance, be it online or in person, is trending in a upward direction. Or good, great. So that's good. And then I wanted to ask, we had a question yesterday. I know you've answered this before, but the license. So the people requesting digital products, be it books or to read on a Kindle or to listen to, those requests continue to increase as well, right?
Yes.
And the licenses for those products are as much or more expensive than actual books.
They are more expensive. Than actual books.
Okay.
Yes.
And so we need more of them. You only get a certain amount of every time you take a license out, you get 15 lens out of it or wherever it may be. Correct. And you pay for that.
And then we relicense.
And then you have to relicense. And those costs continue to increase, or they're leveling off now that more people are sort of having this issue?
They continue to increase year over year between 5 and 25%.
Okay. And there's never been anything where they're going to start to let libraries purchase these things for...
It's unlikely
that
the publishers will engage in sale. There are some publishers who will sell us a perpetual license. Yeah, but most of them are recurring licenses.
Okay. And then my last question on the roof, the 90,000 that you talked about, that was, I remember you had done something specifically for drainage, right? Empty out and to redrain everything. Yeah. And so has that, I'm sure that helped, but we're still seeing leaks.
We are still seeing leaks. In fact, just yesterday I was up on the roof because as the snow melted, we experienced leaks in places we hadn't had leaks before.
Okay. And then your HVAC has needed regular maintenance, emergency maintenance, or what stage? I know it's at the end of its life, but what stage of the
so the $40,000 that I referenced that we've spent over the last 18 months has been for emergency maintenance, the heat has failed. The heat pumps, the rooftop units. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's all my questions.
Our air conditioning seems to be fine.
Well, don't speak.
But it's all one system.
Well, thank you. I think you do a great job, Jocelyn. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was interesting.
Bill?
Hi, Jocelyn.
Hi,
nice
Bill.
to meet you. How are you?
Nice to see you. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I don't really have a lot to add in terms of Keith's questions. I feel like what we spend, the value the library provides the community far outweighs what we spend on it. I mean, I can remember going when my children were little, and we would take the toys out.
Yes.
And take them. You know, I mean, that kind of stuff. You know, the value to the community is really. My question is more on the revenue side. I understand kind of like the history, you know, of kind of how we got here, and my question really is more. My understanding is there are grants that are available at both the national and the state level. Most of the national grants, I think, go to the states, and then the states can kind of funnel it out. I don't see anything in here. You mentioned in your presentation some minor grants, but can you talk about the challenges you have in trying to secure grants? Is that something that I'm sure you're not naive to that? You know, that's an important piece of it. Walk me through like that situation with
Yeah.
the library.
So what you have before us is before you is our operational budget. Grants typically don't cover operational expenses. So, for example, the capital planning that we need, we'll be pursuing grants through the state through the construction.
But it's a library construction program.
Yeah, through the library construction program, as an example.
Okay.
In past years, we've had we have a laptop kiosk, for example, that we applied for a grant for. So when we're looking at sort of programmatic needs for the library, we have something in mind, we'll pursue grants to enable those things to happen, because that would be above and beyond or outside of our operational budget.
Okay, so, you know, just because I was doing some research today on it, and just trying to understand it a little bit, the grants that are available or out there really don't respond to operational needs.
Correct.
These are mostly programmatic or thematic
Exactly.
type of deals.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Thank you. That's all I have.
You're welcome.
Hey, Jocelyn, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Always happy to have you. First, I just want to give a shout out that the library is partnering with Green Efforts again for our presentation next month on waste reduction and specifically composting. And then hopefully, I think we've got another one in the works. But
Excellent.
so I'm very excited about that, and I appreciate everything the library does to help us advertise, because your reach is much greater than anything else. I want to piggyback on Keith's questions. I am a person who, yes, takes heavy advantage of the Kindle
Yeah.
loans. Midnight, I need a new book. I can't sleep. It works pretty well. But I know there's a lot of electronic resources above and beyond the book. So like you mentioned, movies, I've taken advantage of Ancestry. I know that there's other types of resources like that. So I know the e-reader books, the books are going up. Are all of these other licenses increasing? How do these others work?
So those other licenses we prefer databases. So I referenced that we've had 4,000 database uses this year. We have something called Job Now, Vet Now that help veterans and other people who are looking for jobs. We have resources that help students study for the SATs. People who are trying to go to medical school study for the MCATs, things like that. Those prices have remained pretty steady over time. We're part of an organization called the Connecticut Library Consortium, which negotiates statewide licenses for libraries for those kinds of resources. So we get to, because of that consortium membership, we get to leverage the power of numbers to get more affordable pricing on those databases. That is not the case with individual books, music, movies.
Okay. So the movies are similar to the book.
Yeah, movies,
Okay.
books, music,
Okay.
audiobooks.
I didn't know about the music.
Yeah. Yeah, we have music too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Concerts,
Oh, I'm excited. now.
great courses we have available electronically. There's a ton of resources.
Okay.
Come by the library. We'll be happy to show you everything.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't have anything other questions.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, the SPA report. How you doing, Josh?
Hi,
Good to see
Nice
you.
to see you.
So the SPA report, was that like a condition?
Yeah, we had them come in and do a comprehensive condition assessment of both buildings.
Mhm.
And we asked them to prepare for us a 20-year capital plan so that we could be good stewards of our resources and really start sort of being very mindful and purposeful about how we think about improvements to the building and the timing of those improvements.
And is that report in the works right now? Has it been complete?
It's
Do you
been-
have that 20-year? Do you
It's
have?
been completed. We have that 20-year report.
And what is that? I mean, like just kind of at a macro level, like
In
what
today's dollars, and that is that capital plan is not for any programmatic changes we might want to make to the building to respond to changing needs of our community. That's just the infrastructure. Over the course of 20 years, in today's dollars, it's $12 million.
And that was broken down with everything, like
Everything.
the HVAC and then the
Exterior,
roof and so
interior,
forth.
doorknobs,
Right.
carpet, furniture, everything.
And did it indicate that you need to do these things? You have time to do one of these things versus the others?
Yeah.
Or?
So the reason why I referenced specifically the HVAC and the roof in my presentation is SPNA identified those as emergency needs.
Emergency needs. And then so are we contemplating, or is the board contemplating some immediate action?
Yes.
Okay. So that's kind of an open
Yeah,
dialogue, current dialogue.
We are actively engaged in trying to solve that funding problem.
Okay.
And to think about how we can leverage our resources, things that are already happening within the community, to take advantage of scale, to engage in particularly the HVAC. I think we have a little bit more time on our roof.
And that would also include the grant portion of it.
Correct.
To try to like write those grants, package those grants up and get those
Correct.
out.
That's the grant portion.
Right.
We'll start doing that this summer. That opens up. I'll actually be at a meeting on April 8th, the sort of introductory kickoff meeting for the construction grant.
Okay, perfect. And on the programmatic needs, I mean, obviously getting the roof, the HVAC is obviously imperative in kind of an emergency situation. And then on the programmatic needs, what's ahead? At least what's been identified.
From a capital
from a capital
perspective,
point of view.
I mean, so right now in that capital plan, we haven't even begun to address what are the wishes and dreams, right? So when I think about programmatic needs for the space, those are really what are the wishes and dreams? Where do we see the library going into the future? There's I think some really interesting ideas on the table, and one of the things that we're discussing is how to gather input from our community to better understand sort of what they're looking at. I'm going to a conference at the end of this month where I'll be talking to people about library improvements, renovations, rebuilds across the country to sort of get ideas about what are the trends in how communities are using their libraries. And I'd love to talk to town council about what your visions are for the community needs, right? Because I really think of the library as being, it's centrally located. It does serve a community, a deep community center service. I think a lot of people in our community see us that way. And our space, because we're also a library, right, it limits our ability to sort of think about broader community activities. So there's a lot of opportunity.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to speak for our town chair, but I'm sure we'd partner with you on trying to identify.
Yeah, I
some
would
of that
love
stuff.
to do that.
Right. So the last thing I was going to land on is just, we've talked about the exterior, the HVAC, the roof, like the interior. Are there any immediate needs on the interior side, security, technology, things that were identified in maybe that report?
I think in the next 24 to 72 months, no. I think we're good on that.
Okay.
front.
Great. You've answered my question. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Jocelyn. Nice to meet you in person. A lot of the questions have been answered. My only question is the other area I saw was an increase in your custodial bucket, and just kind of curious what's trending from last year to this year.
So we outsource our custodial support. We engage with an outside contractor, and their increases their costs have increased. So that's why you're seeing an increase there.
Thank you.
Bruce, anything? Are you all set? Anything?
I am.
Oh,
Thank you.
just checking.
Sorry.
Good. First, I want to thank you for that thorough overview of the library services. I, in particular, found it most edifying and was really gratified to see how the library has evolved with the time since, my kids were young and were involved with there. And I think, what you do for the community, while you are a big ticket item, you do big ticket services. And so I think we get a lot of value for our money out of the library for sure. As far as questions go, I had only one in terms of trying to understand the detail items. The automated services, is that your IT stuff?
Yes, so that includes our library catalog, so the online system that you use to find books. That's also on the back end, how we keep track of inventory, patron records, etc. It also includes software that we subscribe to. So some of that is our security system, Microsoft, those sorts of tools. So that's what our automated services are.
Okay, and I see you've been able to have some savings here. Is it just, where's that coming from?
I know. Why do we have savings? That's amazing.
We don't see that.
So I think year over year, what we're able to do is we renegotiate contracts, and we are constantly looking for new service providers so that we can get the best value for our budget.
Thank you very much. Appreciate what you do. All set.
All right. Any other follow-ups? Jocelyn, I just want to say how much I appreciate how the library engages with the community, but I also want to point out, I see you more out in the community at so many events. I love how you engage in the community. Not just bringing the community in to engage with me. So thank you for being a part of our community. It really shows.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. I'll make a motion for a temporary approval of page 18.
Second.
Tentative. Yes, tentative, not temporary. Thank you. Tentative.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right. I believe next we're going to registrars. That's what I thought. All right. Why don't we take a look at the registrar, and I invite our registrar of voters to come up to the table and talk us through their budget needs.
And it would be page 9.
Thank you. Page 9. You have my vote.
Okay.
Oh, that's cute.
That's quick.
All right. Would you like to take us through your requirements, requests?
Sure. We didn't really talk about who is going to say what, but I think everyone knows us here, but maybe for the record, I'll just say I'm Beth Kittner, the Democratic Registrar of Voters, and I'm joined by my counterpart, Ann Newberry, the Republican Registrar of Voters, and our deputies are here this year. Neil Kelsey is Ann's deputy, and Mary Jane Parlow is my deputy, and we couldn't do this without them and a lot of other people. So I'll just get started, and then we can. So you'll see that our budget is an increased change of about 30%. And what I try to think of this, like, our budget is very much dependent on which general election is happening, what cycle we're in. So gubernatorial this year, it was municipal last year, lower turnout, no primaries last year. And this year we're looking at a higher turnout in November, bigger election, so higher staffing levels at our polls. And then we are likely to have a 2-party primary in August. So both parties are likely to have a primary that will have to staff in August. That includes early voting of 7 days for a primary. And they'll run on the same day, by the way. And then our general election will have early voting for 14 days. Our office staff time includes early voting prep, assistance with early voting when it's going on. Prior to any election and early voting, there's tabulator programming and other prep that needs to be done with the tabulators. A big portion of that was done by the vendor previously, but we're in our first full year of new tabulators. And they're wonderful in terms of reliability. The voters seem to like, if you all saw last year, it's a interactive screen almost that assures you your vote's been counted. And so we're getting good feedback from the voters on those. But it does come at an increased cost for software and maintenance. And then again, with us doing more of the programming ahead of time, which is mostly Neil. And then other related costs with the new tabulators, the software and maintenance contract. Last year, we only had to request, we were only charged for 6 months, the partial year, December, I believe it was December to July last year. And now we have our first full year. So that was bumped up also. And then lastly, I would just like to say, we explained to Kathy and Joe when we met, our increase in office work is not just because of those increased voting events, but this year we really kind of took a zero-based look at what we pay for office clerks. We have high school students and college students that help us, and other office clerks when necessary. And then our deputies do a lot of our office work also. And we had to make a correction to really reflect in reality what we were spending, but we hadn't been necessarily requesting. So that's also contributing to the increase. And I'll shut up now. Let people either take some other points, or I don't know if we want to talk about this last piece. I think I covered it. I mean, it's basically 2/3 of our increase is related to the higher number of election events and those associated staffing costs. And then we have the registrar voters stipends that were approved last year, where we get a bit more for working early voting and coordinating that. So we have a certain amount for the primary and then the general, specifically for early voting, because that was an increase to our roles and responsibilities. And that went through last year, but you'll see that in the staffing costs as well. To hug everything I just gave.
Anything else we need to know before we hit with you?
No.
That's kind of our
I think we
overall.
look forward to your questions.
All right. Bruce, why don't we start
Comments,
down here?
questions?
Sure. The equipment maintenance, how is that working? Do you pay a fee and they maintain it all, or are you doing it on a as needed basis and pay whatever it is that goes with? Because these are newer tabulators, not likely to break as much, right?
Right. So the maintenance is when something happens and it's something we can't correct. It's kind of regular maintenance that they'll come in and do checks and make sure we're up to, that everything's working properly.
So that, what I'm getting at is that a stable amount?
Yes.
In other words, that it's not, we don't, if we have disasters or whatever, it's not going to go higher.
Correct.
They have to fix it no matter what. Just
Yes.
given the
Yes.
fees we're paying. That's really what I was getting at.
Right. Service contract with
Service contract.
the state, and then we pay based on how many tabulators we have in each town.
Understood. Thank you.
Well, thank you for all you did in the election year last year. I myself had been a supporter, so thank you. The questions I had in the process is, how many people throughout the season are you, working to register, out there canvassing, supporting, and so forth?
From a voter standpoint?
Mhm.
Right. Okay. So I can start. We have about 19,000 voters in town, down a little bit from 20,000 a year or so ago. You can probably speak to canvass, right? Because we did do a very thorough canvass last year.
Yep. Last year, we're required to try not to be too complicated, but we're legally required to canvass voters to see if they still live in town. When people on our voter registry hit the national change of address, the post office list for people who have put in forwarding addresses and changes of addresses. And that gets matched by a vendor, and we get a nice list and labels and every spreadsheet and everything we need to follow up with those people. And the letter that goes out is a state form, but it basically says, looks like you may have moved. If this is not the case, let us know. We request that they send it back. If they don't, we have enough information to think it's likely they don't live in town. So they go into inactive status, not immediately off, but at least we can move them from the active roles to inactive. Some people will say, yes, I did indeed move, and they send it back in the stamped envelope, and we can take them off at that point. That's the focus of our canvas. But we are also able to, within the same time period, canvas voters where they haven't voted in the last 2 federal elections. So last year we took a look, so 2025, just by way of example, we said, okay, it doesn't seem like this has really been done in the past several years. So we're going to add on to our canvas numbers and look at voters and send them all letters. People who didn't vote in 2020 or 2024, figuring if you were around and you didn't vote in those 2, it seems like you may have left. So we canvassed those as well. And I think we added about 1,800 canvas letters, communications to our regular canvas, which was already over 1,000 last year. And that's why some people are following our registered voter numbers for active voters would see that we dropped, I think it was at least 1,200 voters because of that checking in. So it's a more accurate number now for active voters, Farmington. But more time, more expense. This year, I think we canvassed maybe 1,600 total. But it's always over 1,000 every year who we need to check in with and just make sure that they're still in town.
And then in terms of engagement with like the high school, are you canvassing the high school and also getting those that are turning 18 and
Voter registration.
And tackling getting
We're
folks?
actually legally required, every registrar's office in the state, at some point between January and the end of the school year. And we try to do it before referendum, before we get busy with referendum. And then, of course, we get into May at the high school and don't exactly have their attention. So, yeah, we work with them. We do usually 2 sessions during lunch waves and get people and they can register electronically with a QR code because we know that's probably more likely what they're going to do. But we're there with the forms and talking them through registering, if they're 17, but they're going to be 18 by November, all that good stuff. So we work with the activities advisor there. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, thank you.
Good to see everybody here. One question I had is there anything like coming from the Secretary of State's office that's right now maybe being planned for that it hasn't come forward, but maybe you see will come forward? Or are we kind of like past this point now where we have early voting, we have a number of things, but is there anything that we should be aware of down the road or in a more immediate sense that might affect
the only thing I can say is that at the recent legislative, session, they have voted that we do not need the early voting envelopes with the early voting ballots.
Okay.
So that if you come in for early voting, you will get a ballot, put it in the tabulator, but you will not be dealing with the envelope as well.
It seems like a streamlined.
So that is a difference.
Responsive to it took a couple of years, but it was responsive.
And there are a couple of other changes. Not sure what the impact will be yet, but they are replacing what's CRVS, which is their voter registration system. That's slated to go away and be replaced by something called Total Vote near the end of the year. That's been in the works for a while. Don't know what impact that'll have, but I'm sure it'll have some impact, hopefully favorable.
Got it.
Big learning curve.
Big learning.
But then that'll mandate you folks getting trained for the
Yes.
on the new system.
Yeah.
And it keeps getting pushed back. So recently we learned it won't happen in February or March of this year. Now, December 14th.
Got it.
So,
So it's getting you out of this current election cycle so that you can, maybe embrace it after.
Right.
And it's likely not just training the 4 people here, it's training the poll workers, because that's a system we use during early voting to check people in. So
And then
that's a lot of training.
Yeah, that's a lot of training.
Yeah.
So, and then on poll workers, are we in pretty good shape as far as, the identifiable group you have? And I know you brought some new people in, new faces. So
I always tell people, especially if they don't get hired, they might apply a couple months or a month before an election and they don't get pulled. We're lucky in Farmington. I try to frame it, it's a positive thing, obviously. We're really lucky in Farmington. We have so many people experienced and otherwise just willing and interested in working, and they do a great job. Come to the training, so
they do come.
yeah.
Good.
So we're in good shape in Farmington.
Yeah.
I know other communities might
We are
struggle a bit.
so fortunate in Farmington. We can call people, the night before. Somebody drops out. You call a couple of people. Sure. We have wonderful community
support
members who are poll workers.
Perfect.
I just wanted to add to your point about asking about the Secretary of State. It's often what comes from the legislature. and just things I'm hearing, and I don't know where they are in the process. Ranked choice voting, that would affect our
Okay.
job.
Yeah.
That would make things a little more complicated, learning how to set that up with the ballots and the tabulators. And what was the other one I wrote down? I don't know that it would it's not going to affect us directly, probably the town clerk's office more. Absolutely the town clerk's office more, but the no excuse absentee ballot. We don't know if that, how that will increase. Is it going to decrease early voting? People are just going to have more options. So
Right.
it'll change things.
It'll
And
have
then with central count.
some kind of impact.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for all the work you do on behalf of Farmington and for elections. And I guess the last thing I'll land on is there any security guidelines that anybody kind of tossing around that might be mandated at polls? I mean, unfortunately, we live in a world now that, might be in a situation where there is, uneasiness, but just curious.
So we do have a good relationship with the police department and other folks in town. We met with them in particular prior to the last presidential election, and we had, I think, extremely good support. Every one of the moderators had somebody that they could reach out to the cell phone of the officer, without having to go through dispatch. So somebody was assigned to cover each of the other polling places, and we'll continue to do that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for all the work you do.
Patty?
Thank you. Most of my questions have been asked, but I think you said this, Beth. I just want to make sure I heard it right. So everything because we went through the whole process of raises and stipends last year. So part of this increase is also simply because we approved an increase through your stipends. And okay.
Right.
That's all. Thank you. I know it's a hard job, especially during the election, so we appreciate it.
I don't have any questions. I'm going to say thank you for all your hard work. I've seen you do it, year in, year out. You're always there and working hard and taking no guff from people and doing the job well and making sure our elections are secure and safe and accurate. So well done and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. It means a lot.
Keith?
Couple questions. One, I know last summer, some of us on council kicked the can on a proposal you guys had for redistricting. So is that something we should expect to see come back around as a request sooner? Because I know there was some savings attached to that. So is that something we should expect to see at some point this year?
Since you brought it up.
I'm like the least popular person in the registrar's office, so I just figured.
We understand the intricacies of something like that, but yes, absolutely. We figure Brian and I just talked. We'll figure out a timeline that works for you at all. It's what else you have going on to bring it forward again, and in the charter though it needs to be put on the ballot in a municipal year. So we're looking at
next year
27.
Okay.
Yeah. So any impact would be in 28.
Would be the following year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
we are still interested.
And then my question on the savings was that, because I think, and I could be wrong on this number, the idea was that redistricting there saves, was it 10 grand, something like that? Was the rough idea? I guess my question, no matter what the number is, that's per election, correct? That's like per.
I'd have to go back and check if we gave you an annual figure and again, it would depend on how many elections are per year.
Yeah, I got
it varies by year, but.
Yeah, that would be, I guess that'd be my one question as we get towards whenever.
Oh yeah,
comes up,
that'll be a part of your.
That website voter checklist that some of us use during election season to check.
Right, it's an electronic poll book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we pay in to use that, and then because I know there's some times that you can't access it, right? Like because the website goes dormant, or is that? I guess my question there is that like a subscription thing, or is that? I know there's been times when I've gone to use it on like a random night around election season, and Farmington doesn't have access at that time. But if you go the next morning at like 8 a.m., it opens up for us.
Is that maybe later on election night and then into the next morning? Because it could be like.
That's not election night. It's like it's
no,
like
there were
in advance.
Problems last year with sometimes it was just down, and we called Christine, but it was down.
Oh, I didn't check around election time though.
It was never like something that impacted anything.
Yeah,
at
well, you
all. I
can
just-
always let us know. We can call the vendor and say, hey,
Okay.
sometimes I did contact them once and they were unaware. It was like a random time. It wasn't anywhere near an election. And they said, oh, we had no idea,
Never
we
an
had to
impact. never-
reset
I'm not-
something.
Yeah, I'm not crying foul.
Yeah.
It's
But
everything.
you could always call us and we can call the vendor.
And then is that the best? Are there any competitors in that market, or is that the one? That's the
Yeah, there's at least 2 or 3, I think. And one is the same company that offers this total voter registry program or platform. So I think you're going to see, because right now the Secretary of State doesn't sanction any one electronic poll book. So we have to use our paper checklist
everybody.
and the electronic, which we will stay with 2 systems because the amount of data and reporting and just historical information that we get from this voter checklist is really valuable. So the hope is for all of the towns that are using electronic poll books, and we really enjoy that and benefit from it, is that eventually when they can do a bidding process, that the Secretary of State will sanction one and they'll roll it out for across the state. We'll all be using the same system.
okay. Cool.
So-
Last one. New voting things. Great. Their results
Fabulous.
were very quick. Everything seemed to go very well. I would pick one nit. Can we get the size of that scroll that was posted in town hall to be not? Is there any way to do that, or does it just have to be that long? Is that was like it was
That'd
like
be a Neil question.
it was like the absentee ballot count, right? It was
The
scroll.
townwide.
It started at the top of the door and then it went to Pat's desk.
We had to check and make sure
Trying
we were
to
gonna have
fig-
enough paper.
Trying to figure it was hard to figure out and to like get a count and know.
It-
At that point, we knew it was going bad. But
It was 108 feet of paper.
yeah, it was quite.
We know because
quite
we
large.
had
We had to measure
yeah,
it.
we had to measure it to make sure we had it up.
Just to the poor guy that had to drive here from the firehouse, then take pictures, and that's
Yeah.
a long process. So
Yeah. So the
how bad we did.
so
There's
so
been nights
what
I've done that.
Yeah.
yeah so what drove that is there were 2 things on that longest piece of tape, right? One was the 0 report from the morning showing that all the offices had 0, that had all the results at the end. And for absentee and anything we were using that for during central count, which was early voting and absentee, one tabulator was able to do all precincts. So you had all the results by precinct, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, et cetera. That's why it was that long. Ways to shorten it would be to use multiple tabulators. There are other ways to do it.
It's just such a
we
minor.
found that to be the most efficient from running the election standpoint, understanding that it gets.
Yeah, I get it. It's a very minor nitpick which will affect like 3 residents on a biannual basis. So it's probably not anything you have to do anything about. But if you can, whoever's doing that would love it.
And we can't splice it and post it like by precinct or by, because it has to be a continuous, otherwise
Be continuous.
That's it. Thank you.
it's easy.
All right,
It was
do
the
you have
CVS receipt.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
any-
100
are there any
times.
other
No
questions?
coupons though. Yeah.
And if not, do we have a motion?
I make a motion for a tentative approval of page 9.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Passes
Thank you.
unanimously.
Thank you all.
Yep.
Have a good day. Thanks for your process.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. All right, I think we're going to take a break for a few minutes, and we'll be back in momentarily. Thank you very much. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're going to continue our budget discussions. If we are ready, and we're going to move on to
We are,
police and fire.
yep, police and fire.
Right,
It's the,
what page is that?
yep, it's the gray tab budget, pages 28 through 44.
All right, thank you.
So it's the gray tab, just the public safety group of accounts now includes the fire, the police, emergency, medical, ambulance service, dispatching, and building inspection functions. The full-time account, what? Oh, that's out. I was like, why is that there? Yeah, it's a typo, sorry. And dispatching. The full-time account in the fire operations budget includes a promotional position, a supervisory firefighter, which was the result of the Department of Public Safety restructuring. The budget does not include funding for seasonal help in the police department. This has been funding through a grant for the past 2 years, and we're hopeful that that grant will continue. That's for the people on the rails to the trails. The police fleet accounts funds 2 new 24-hour patrol vehicles, and this is part of our fleet replacement program. The calls for service in the fire department have been increasing quite a bit, resulting in higher contractual payments to the volunteer departments. This is the first budget with it merged, and you do know you saw on the front page that we were able to take out the communication dispatch and run that as a special revenue fund, and we'll talk about that at the end. But I know that the chief and I spoke a little bit when he came in that we're really, really pleased about the merger. We've had some supervisory positions that have been able to be opened up, which helps us with recruitment and different things, both in the fire department, the police department. Lieutenants and captains are taking on some of the administrative role of the police, of the fire department. That's really worked out well. So I think overall, and then the dispatcher, the regional dispatchers, we're really, really pleased with that, how it's going and the state funding and different things. So I think that it's been a really good move to do this. So.
Awesome. If you are ready for some questions, welcome, Chief Melanson. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bruce, would you like to get us started with any questions that you have?
Sure, be happy to do that. On page 34, I see that we have, we're going with the same number of patrol officers that we've had previously. How long has it been since we increased our team?
So I came here in 2009, and I want to say that I was told that it was in 1990s was the last time that they increased.
And so, yeah, our population was much smaller back then.
Yes.
Too, and we still have the same number of officers that we had before.
Right.
When did we do that? We did a traffic officer.
Yeah. So what happened was there was a year where the budget was not good, and they took out an officer, and then when we came back, we put a traffic officer back in.
Right. So back, it was before
So it's
you,
this-
right?
right,
Yeah, I
right.
think right before Paul came, there was 2 vacancies in the police department that we were trying to fill, and the budget was very tight. And at that point in time, we eliminated both of those positions. We brought back one of those positions,
The traffic officer.
the traffic officer,
Actually, and we brought back the SRO.
SRO.
So we're back to exactly where we were.
Probably in 1998.
Yeah, somewhere around
1999.
there.
Yeah, so that's where.
So we're managing, but we're under a bit of strain, I guess would be a way to describe it. Is that fair?
Yes, I mean, we've had this discussion for a long time. You'll notice we have a large overtime budget. So that's what police departments, fire departments do, right? I mean, we have to maintain our staffing levels. What we're finding, and we talk about this across the board, and it's been something happening over the last many years, the newer officers don't like working as much overtime as back in the day when people were trying to work a lot of overtime. And so what we're finding is what we look at is how many times we're forcing officers to have to come in and work. And that's happening frequently, where we have to force them either to stay over 4 hours or basically to come in 4 hours early.
Before that was like volunteer.
And before that, right, we could fill it because people would volunteer. They'd be on a list for overtime and we'd fill it. We are still getting volunteers, but I will tell you that there are more and more forces, and we're very cognizant too, trying to do our scheduling because, you look at our staffing level, but the issue is right now, I have 3 people out long-term with injuries. So that staffing level, right, they're not contributing to our patrol division. So then I have to take people from, we have the special projects position, and we have the traffic division. And many days we have to put them into what we call the minimums in patrol because we have to fill the patrol district. So those jobs aren't getting done because we have to pull them because we're trying to reduce the amount of forces of overtime.
Thank you. That's very helpful. A couple of line item questions on page 35. There's a really big difference for our community policing 24-25, it was $500,000, and we're budgeting now 350. And I want to sort of understand why we are kind of going downward in that line. Is it being taken up somewhere else? Is that what I'm missing from that?
Joe, he's talking about in the full-time. Did we move?
Yeah, the
people
full-time
to
line.
Full-time?
It's movement of officers.
Movement to a different.
It's,
Sometimes the prior chief liked to see certain positions in certain areas of the budget, and the current chief likes to see certain positions in other areas, move to other areas of the budget. Like, you may have an SRO officer here, and Paul prefers to have the SROs in the detective bureau, or so. It's just the movement of positions, no loss of.
It's purely accounting then. Okay, no need to
a budgeting
count
account.
any further for that. On page 41, under vehicle, we were looking at a request 188,600, and we're looking to go forward with about half of that. Does that mean one less vehicle than you requested has been approved? That's
Yes.
that's how I should
Yeah.
read that
yes.
at this point.
Yes.
Understood.
It's two unmarked, right? Yeah. So what we had done, so the one thing that we're really, this town always does a great job at is making sure that the frontline vehicles are replaced. Those are the 24/7 patrol vehicles that are driven every day. We make sure that fleet, these were two unmarked, which would be for the detectives or those sorts of things. So that's why those, in this budget year. So, we look out and try and figure out good times to replace those.
Understood. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I'm all set.
All right, thank you. Nadine?
Yes. Necessarily have questions about this particular, but looking forward to next year, are there things that weren't accounted for this year that you see that would be big items for next year at this point?
No, I think one of the things, it was one of your goals is to look at the automated enforcement. So that would be something, depending on what this, what the town and what this body decides, there we would definitely have to add a minimum of 2 officers to manage that program. And I've talked to many chiefs who are running it. But my point is, like, if you're talking about in the future, that would be something, if you decided to do that program, that would be something that we would put in. But I think,
You're anticipating that the revenues would cover a lot
yes,
of that.
yeah, but then the revenues obviously would offset that plus some.
Okay. And then in terms of like the school resource officers, they're still going to be in the schools for the future.
Yeah, I mean, that's evolved over the years, right? And, I was asked after Sandy Hook if we thought we needed an officer in every school. And, my answer back then was no. As you know, some states now require you to have an officer in every school. There are some schools in the state of Connecticut that have an officer in every school. We do very well with the 3 that we have. But I will tell you that is just like the school is getting more and more complex. These SRO positions are getting more and more complex and more demand on them. So, I think in the future we will always look with the school together, but there's definitely a need for those SROs. And, it used to be just the high school and middle school, right? That was, right. We're finding now that actually it's much more than that, even the, younger grade school level.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. First question would be page 28, the fire marshal's office. And it's really that standby account has been added to contractual changes in the International Association of Firefighters collective bargaining agreement, where one fire inspector shall be compensated to remain on call in the event the fire marshal is on a scheduled leave. So obviously the fire marshal is allowed vacation time or sick leave or whatever, and there might be a need for the fire marshal to be at an event or something. So in lieu so now we have somebody who will actually be a stand-in for the fire marshal. Is that kind of what I'm reading here?
Yeah, this is, and I'll have Paul describe it in a little bit more detail, but this is again another idea that was merged when we merged the departments together. And when the fire marshal was out, we don't have a second fire marshal, and we didn't have any kind of process on who to call and how it would work. And it would work out, but it was messy. And so in the police department, they have a way to do that. And it was suggested that we do that with our fire contract. And Paul, maybe you can just describe how that works.
Yeah, so we saw a problem in this area that when our fire marshal, Mike Galino, wasn't in, right, and he was on vacation for a week, there was a list of people to call, but nobody had to respond. So we were left many times calling other towns to have their fire marshal come in and do our work for us. And then the follow-up, right, is on the Plainville fire marshal. We have firefighters, the career firefighters who are trained in this. Mm-hmm. And so in the contract, we did a similar thing that we do with the police department. I have a detective who is on call every day, so that when a call comes in at 2 a.m. or whatever, they have to answer their phone and they have to come in. And so we did the same thing with the fire marshal office, working with the career people. And that's the little bit of a stipend. We paid them 1 hour of straight time for them to have to answer their phone and have to come in during these times. So that was kind of and it's actually worked really, really well. We've had a couple house fires and other fires, and sometimes it also is at a business where the alarm panel goes off. Sure. A fire marshal has to be the one saying, okay, you can reoccupy the building, but here's what you have to do, and we have to inspect it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really an important thing, and I think I know the fire chiefs and everybody's happy with now. They call one person, they're responsible, they answer, and they come in.
Right. And they're designated, so obviously they're coming in.
Yep.
So that's great. You've answered that question. That's perfect. Granted, now the director of fire and rescue services we used to have in the budget is now under your purview. I was just curious, is part of that compensation for that position was the emergency management grant? Has that gone away at all, or is there any way has that been carried over to where now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still doing it.
Oh, we're still doing it. Okay, so that's good. That clarifies that. So now it looks like you're going to add a supervisory firefighter versus you're going to go from 9 full-time firefighters, 8 to 1, right?
8-1. Yep, same number, 9.
Right, same number.
Yep.
9. And that supervisory firefighter is that person who will is a direct report to you? Do these firefighters directly report to that person?
Exactly.
Okay.
So the firefighters will report to him, and then he'll report to me. So, so I bring him in when I have my chiefs meetings to address any issues and those sorts of things. And then, yes, so the firefighters themselves will bring issues to him, and then he'll bring them to me, and vice versa. I'll work its way down that way.
Got it. Okay, and then on page 34, patrol operations. Obviously, if we added a patrol officer, would it be fair to say that overtime would come down?
Everything else.
She's shaking her head no.
Well, so. No, and the reason is because we're the overtime again. Somebody has to be ready for full duty. So the problem is we think we'll see, and if you gave me 5 people, overtime would go down.
Right. Okay.
You give me 1, I'll be honest, we're gonna save some people from forcing, and we're gonna allow the traffic officer, the SROs, and those people to do their jobs instead of pulling them constantly out to try and do our minimum staffing.
Got it.
So really it won't have an impact unless you did multiple people on the overtime.
Got it. Okay. So that answers that. Then obviously, I mean, you testified Monday on the House bill, 5449,
which
is,
you. Yeah.
So where is that in the budget as far as the flock? I mean, is that under patrol contractual services? Is it under your
capital?
Capital. Okay. So it's under capital. Yeah. So I guess, do you think, kind of going off a little bit from just the numbers, do you think there'll be a policy at some point in this legislative session?
So there already is a statewide policy. We pushed that out through post last week, and that's what I testified about. The law, we believe, will. We were in conversation with the chairs of the Judiciary Committee as recent as today, going over different language and going back and forth. But I think something will definitely come out.
Okay, so something in the next will come out, and then that'll be a policy for any department that utilizes this technology to basically have guardrails or to the rules.
And that already, so just even without the law, let's say it's a short session and things implode and they just can't get this passed, there already is a policy in place that was pushed out by the Post Council. And so every police department that has LPRs has to abide by this policy. And it has 95% of the legislation in it.
Okay.
So
Is the transparency portal part of that, or is that an elective type of thing per department?
no, that's elective.
That's
Yeah.
elective. Okay.
The audits are required, and then the audits being FOI'd is also a requirement of that.
Got it. Okay. I think that's what all my questions right now.
Great, thank you, Patty.
Dave covered some of mine, so now I just have to make sure. I don't
Do I
want to
keep
ask
on
you.
overstepping my?
No, you're good. I don't mind having to ask fewer questions, and I just don't want to ask the same question twice. Page 30, can you help me understand part-time firefighter versus per diem firefighter and the decrease from 10 to 6 in the per diem firefighters? No? Was that a no?
So we redid this in the beginning. So a part-time firefighter is somebody that is not involved as a volunteer firefighter in town. So they are part-time. The per diem are the day firefighters. They have nothing to do with the town of Farmington. So I'll give you an example. A volunteer at East Farms can work a shift at Farmington Fire or Tunx's Hose, but they cannot work at East Farms because of labor law. So we're very cognizant. So we worked on this 3.5 years ago with the town's attorney to make sure we weren't violating any rules. The per diems are the ones that we bring in. They could be a firefighter in another town or somewhere else, and they'll work one day for us here and there to make sure that we're filling our minimums at the fire department.
So, did that make sense to you?
It did make sense.
Okay,
to
good,
me.
perfect.
Yes.
Good.
And so there's a decrease in the per diem firefighter from 10 to 6.
We don't, so they're only paid when they come in, and
Okay.
they're paid hourly. So we don't have, there aren't 10.
So it's more like a reflection of how it's actually been running.
Correct.
Thank you. And then on it's technically page 34, but the seasonal help for the police department. As someone who makes heavy use of the rails to trails, and often by myself, I value there being officers on the trail or someone, even if you just get hurt, to have someone. So what do we think the likelihood is of this grant?
Well, I love it because I was the one who started it. So, I love that CSO program, but I think they've been paying for it through grants. So I
Yeah,
don't
we've
know
had
the likelihood.
2 years
Yeah.
we've had grant,
Right.
right?
Yeah, it's 3 years, I think
3?
we've had it.
Mhm.
I think it's pretty good. It's one of those kind of different grants where it comes from a weird spot in state, and we've been getting it. So if there is a problem with it, I think we would probably be readdressing it internally, because it is a good service and people like it. And so I would say that if we don't get the grant, we'll probably be talking internally about how we're going to do it.
How to reallocate resources.
Sources and something like that. Yeah.
Right. Because it is something that I know I appreciate, and I know many others do. And I'm happy. I didn't know you initiated it. Thank you.
Yeah. She forced me to. No, I'm only kidding. No, if you remember, we had some real problems down off the rails to trails and by the river. And
Yep.
I mean, we had some real issues with trash and people getting stabbings and all kinds of stuff. And it's just not feasible to hire police officers. I just told you, it's hard to get them, we just couldn't do it. And this was the result. And you've seen them in different towns. That's how we got the idea. They've had some use them for parking enforcement, whatever, but it really has been a really great benefit to the town having them out there.
I agree. And then this might just be reorganization of staffing, but on page 40, there's the full-time that it has an estimated amount for 25-26, and then there's a town manager line, but not a department request on that full-time line.
Yeah, so what that is that when we started to do the restructuring, we thought that what was going to happen, that Paul was going to need another administrator because to help with the administration. But how we've been evolving is that instead of bringing in an administrator, we brought in another maintainer that is helping with the police, the fire, the community center, and it's available townwide to help with different things. So we, instead of having another administrator, because those portions of the job we've given to the police department, the lieutenants, the captains, and things like that. So we didn't need another administrator, but we brought in a building maintainer instead.
Okay.
And that's what that position is.
Yes, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Bill?
I just have two questions, Paul. Thanks. First is on page 34, the overtime for patrol operations. I just want to make sure again, this is my first time looking at this budget, so I'm still trying to understand it. So, according to that on that overtime line, the budget for last year was $812,000. Am I reading that right? Okay. And that up to date this fiscal year, we spent about $490,000. And we expect to spend throughout the fiscal year $775. So that would be that's about $37,000 difference. Am I reading that right?
Yep.
Okay. So that $37. So I guess my question would be, and you asked for $837, which is really would be another 37 on top of the 37. Looks like you're going to save. And so just kind of walk me through. My question is, do you feel like is that really a variable account and it's really hard to kind of capture?
Oh, it's so difficult.
That's kind of what I was knowing. Everything else is like super tight. I just wanted to make sure I understood. That was kind of stuck out of me a little bit.
Part of it, most of it is that you don't know if people are going to be out on injury. And so and it fluctuates. So we do a lot of different things when we try to figure out the overtimes account, especially in the police department. We look at the history. We do 3-year averages, 5-year averages, things like that. They increase because salaries increase, obviously. So that you have to factor in the salaries that go in. And then we look at how many vacancies we have, and because we have to backfill for overtime for that. Then we look if anyone's out on workers' comp. We see different things like that. And we try to factor all that in, and then we get a number, and then, to be honest, we reduce it a little bit.
Right. I get it.
But I think it's important too when talking about overtime to understand. So, we had one retirement. That retiree left, so we're in the process of hiring right now. It'll be a year and a half before that individual. So we are paying overtime every day to fill that shift, or I'm sorry, the 4 days on, 2 days. But that shift that body filled is getting filled with overtime until that person can get off FTO and actually account. So just one person leaving can have a huge impact on the overtime.
And so I guess the next question is we're speculating about maybe making some changes and additions to what we've finally approved, and that might include adding another police officer. How would that impact positively or with a challenge, the full-time line and the overtime line?
Yeah, that will help with the large differences, right? So it'll take care of that one retiree or that one long-term injury, or now FMLA. Most people are taking their 12 weeks at the birth of a child, right? And it's and that's great. My daughter just had a baby. It was awesome that she was able to spend. I got 3 days when we had our kids.
Right.
Like that's what I got.
Right.
Like so, times have changed, and so we just have to stay up with the times and stay competitive with the private sector.
And you're talking, just so you're clear, it's the husbands are taking the 12 weeks too.
Yeah, both. Yes. No, both husbands and wives.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, her husband got and her husband got 12 weeks too. Yeah. So yes.
So would it be fair to say, is it fair to conclude that bringing on another full-time police officer will have a significant, not just an impact in terms of enhancing public safety in our community by having a more fully staffed law enforcement team? We'd also potentially see some savings, incremental savings, but savings over time in the overtime account.
Yes. Okay. And it'll have a huge impact on morale. I mean, that can't go understated
that's
in,
what that
in
goes to
today's day
retention.
and age.
That gets-
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
And the other question I have is just a general one about volunteer firefighters. You read a lot just in just media and things I follow. There's always a challenge to recruit and retain volunteers, but it seems like we're actually pretty good. Are we still the Farmington that I know and love with respect to being able to attract and retain volunteer firefighters?
Yes, we are, and the volunteer organizations and chiefs do a great job. They definitely can use more people, to your point, but they are doing a great job making sure that they have the staffing to adequately and address any emergency. So they're doing very good. But a plug for them, they are definitely looking anytime if somebody's looking to volunteer. And we have a cadet program for younger kids to get involved. But yes, they're doing a very good job of maintaining it.
I just want to make sure we shouted them out. Make sure we didn't forget them. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. I got nothing else. Thanks.
Steve?
Just about everything I asked, or I wanted to ask, was asked. I asked this the other day of another department. I'm just because I did see the Facebook post for the officer that we're looking for, or there was some sort of a link that was shared somewhere on social media. Is Farmington, our salaries, our benefits, are we a competitive, desirable place for new officers? Like, are we?
Yeah, the way we look at that is, are you losing people to other departments, right? Because that's what's happening in they had to pass a law that you can't leave until you've been at a place 3 years because people were getting all the training and then leaving. So now there's a law in Connecticut. You can't leave a police department for 3 years once you've been there. Otherwise they have to pay, et cetera, et cetera. My point is we don't lose people to other places. We get them here. And I would say, but it is getting hard with the recruitment side. And I will tell you, so that recruitment is open. We have 12 applications. Now I got to tell you, when we did this 7 years ago, we would have 300, 350.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. And of those 12, are all 12 of them viable candidates?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. No.
How many? I mean, roughly.
Out of the 12, I'm going to say probably 2 are potentially viable.
Oh, wow.
But we're also competing with other departments for those too.
Right.
Yeah, those 12 just aren't applying to us, or yeah. So
are we more apt, or are we better off trying to find candidates that are current police officers or trying to create new police officers?
That's a great question. We try and balance that. We try and look for really great police officers, either who have been somewhere a couple of years, and we've gotten some really good ones from many different departments. But I try and balance that too with brand new, really good officers, because don't forget, we're a bid shift system, right? So on the midnight shift, right, it's hard for an officer who's, let's say, 50 years old, starting over, going to midnights for the next 3-4 years. But it's really great for the kid who has a year on the job and now he's working with that person who's seasoned and done a whole career in that. So we try and blend that between the two, and we don't want to do just one or the other. I don't like to poach from other places. Usually it's by recommendation. One of our officers knows somebody who's saying, I really want to come to Farmington. And then, we're pretty picky. So about who we select. And, one of the things, and I keep mentioning the retirement, we had talked about the drop plan, retaining those officers once they get older, and knowing when they're going to retire. Right. So, there's a lot of information out there about that, about the drop plan, but it lets me know 5 years in advance when this person's retiring. And so one of the things that sometimes we try and do is we'll do our recruitment early, knowing that this opening is going to be here, to prepare for it.
Right. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. We shouldn't talk about it in detail here, but in April, about having the chief come to the April meeting in executive session to talk about the drop plan for us, because it is really a recruitment tool, and we've been working on some various things with it, with the union and things like that. So we want to talk about it in executive session in April.
I like the idea of drop. Yeah. And my last thing, and this may be not something that we're aware of, because people aren't going to always share their comments, but I know that there had been a few years where we had our career firefighters that would kind of move on, because it's different being a career firefighter in Farmington in our system, because it's volunteer as well, and they're moving on to like maybe municipalities that it was a municipal fire force. Are we finding that we're pretty stable there, that we have people that seem like we're going to have keepers?
So you have a group that are there that will be here for a long, long time, and then you have the newer ones coming in. We don't offer that 24/72 schedule.
Yeah.
Which is, most fire departments now, that's what they've gone to. Ours are Monday through Friday during the day, and that's, so we're always going to probably lose some to that type of schedule.
Got it.
Yeah, and we're just not set up to and we're very honest coming in. This is what we do. This is who we are. We'll adjust if the volunteer chiefs now say, I can't staff, right? So during the snowstorm, the chief, said, hey, look, can you send me 3 officers on a Sunday because I'm not, or 3 firefighters on a Sunday because I'm not going to be able to staff. And so we'll do that. We'll hire and they'll come in and staff that station. So we're very responsive and working together with them. But we're just not a 24/7 operation. And so we're always going to lose some of those.
Just something that we plan.
Firefighters, yeah.
But I think also with the change of the structure and some stability and some different things, I think that's helping a lot too. I think that's, like you said, we're always going to have kind of be a training ground to certain people, firefighters that are going to want to go somewhere else. But I think with the chief and some of the stability and some of the different things about how we're running things, that helps the organization too, to keep people maybe a little bit longer.
Okay. That's all for me. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any follow-up questions? All right. We'll do it to you.
Yeah. Can I have, I'll make a motion for a tentative approval of pages 28 through 44.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
I was going to say 44 is building inspector, so I don't
Oh,
think.
we're not supposed to do 44?
Yeah, not supposed to.
Sorry.
40. That's why I was.
28 through 43 is what it should have been,
that's what-
right, Kathy?
Right.
Kathy, should have been 28 through 43.
Did I give the wrong numbers?
No, I just,
Oh,
I think originally, and then there was a change after.
I'm sorry.
Building
You would
inspector.
be approving 28. 41. We have it. Communication.
Oh, no, we did that one. Yep.
So 42.
Yep.
We didn't do it.
Joe, why don't you
What
tell
is
us?
the numbers? 8.
No. 29.
Oh, that's Russ.
Oh, fire.
29 to 40.
Thank you, Jeff.
Or was it
29 to 43.
29 to 43?
Revise the motion. Tentative approval, pages 29 to 43.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of revising the motion?
Aye.
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 So do we need to make a motion for the new motion?
I think
we're good.
I think you're good.
I think,
It's a TA.
when we're on the board of ed, we used to do that. We would make the amendment and then we correct it and then we do the actual motion.
Right.
But if you guys do it differently.
It's because it's just TAs.
Right, yeah, that's.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Good point.
yeah,
that's
it's
right.
just,
That's
it's
right.
just the TAs.
So just know we want to do it the right way.
Yeah,
That's right.
no. If everyone would like to go to page 42 for a moment. I just wanted to point it out, and then we're also going to go into the new tab in the back. It's called the dispatcher fund. On page 75. So I just wanted to point out that
42?
right on page 42, this is the communication center. This is the old dispatch.
Yep.
It is still the dispatcher account, and you can see on contractual services and maintenance, it's now 1,196,526. And now, if you go back to the yellow tab, the dispatch fund tab, and you look at this, this is our special revenue fund now,
Mhm.
and you can see the payment from Farmington on page
119.
right before 75. You can see Farmington 1196526.
Mhm.
So you can see that we're taking the money out of the operating budget and we're putting it into the special revenue fund. And you can see that we're getting our state grants of 487,000, our Farmington payment of 1,196,000, our Avon payment of 563 and our Burlington payment, and for the total of 290, and that's the new grant funds, how it works. And all these state grants are looking to be going up every year, and also the Avon and Burlington numbers are going up too. So now this is a special revenue fund. It's outside of the budget, and it's now over here.
Are we looking to add other towns?
So if you go back.
Maybe Paul
you-
can.
No. Is that?
So,
Okay, you're right.
hey, yeah,
It's
the problem with adding other towns now, we could probably take on a very small town.
Mhm.
But the problem becomes now space. So, the state is trying to push other municipalities to do what we did. But we are definitely looking for if we could take on a very small town that had a small, like Burlington, right? Like a smaller town that had a smaller call volume. But our space right now, we would have to make modifications to the room, and then that would be expensive. We are working with the state because right now they only give you a grant of $300,000 for the conversion. And obviously, if you need to do building modifications, $300,000 doesn't go anywhere. So we're having those discussions to propose to the legislature some changes in the grant funding.
Thank you.
Do you want to have a TA on the yellow tab, page 75?
I'll move for a tentative approval of page 75.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Passes unanimously. Good.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Kathy, do you want to continue? Take a break.
Pizza comes at 6.
Okay. Is there anything we can do in a few minutes?
Russ?
That background play long.
Throw snow in.
If not, we can take a dinner break.
Yeah, I say we take a
Okay,
break.
we're going to take a break. I would just like to welcome everybody back as we continue our budget discussions, and we're going to continue with Public Works. So, Russ, I can, yeah.
Public Works.
Yeah. We're going back to
Yeah, right. That's what it is.
So Public Works tab is pages 45 through 56. And the proposed request for Public Works is from 45 to 56. And Mr. Arnold's here. This is our Highway and Grounds Department, our golf course, the maintenance of the golf course. It's pretty flat. Does anyone have any questions?
Bruce, would you like to get us started?
Sure. General, because I went through a number of the accounts, and I want to understand a little bit more about how work is done, because it's extraordinarily complex and there's a lot of different parts to it. How is work assigned? How is it tracked? You know, if something is supposed to take 4 hours and it takes 6, how do you know that? Is there like a tickets? Are they assigned? I didn't see anything for like IT or computer systems for any of that stuff in terms of the lines. So what can you share with me on that?
Sure. So our budget is based on 3, 5, and 10-year averages. And our work is pretty similar from year to year. It really doesn't change too much. Just the names of the streets change for the most part. If we're doing a catch basin, we have, after all these years, we have knowledge that if we got to replace the full basin, it could take 3 days. Depends on how many pipes are in the basin. If we just have to do the top, it's going to be about 2 hours. So we already know going in, what we're doing now is going through figuring out our schedule of what we're going to have to do for replacements. And we have a worksheet that we keep a track of that schedule for, say, that we're going to be repaving Batterson Park Road. We have a schedule that we're going to do it from, April 1st to May 5th. And we back it, that's how we work it out. And we work it in conjunctively with our subcontractors. So we know if something happens, we go back and after each project, Jim and I will sit down and look at it and come back and say, okay, what happened? What did it take longer? And we go from there.
Yeah, but I think, Bruce, if I can, I think what you're asking is more of like a higher level, I think, like so I think that the whole system in the highway and grounds is the same, basically the same thing year after year, what Russ was saying. So, you know, in the spring, you have to do all your fields. And so they get ready and they know that for the spring season, they have all the fields, the grass cutting, getting everything ready for all that. So the Parks and Rec, so they every year during this period of time, that's what they're doing. Then, you know, in the winter months, it's the snow plowing is the major thing. But also during that time, you're fixing equipment, you're doing things like that, you're getting things all ready to go. Then you're in the road reconstruction session, and they're getting their catch basins, and they go into crews, and we know what roads we're going to do. And so, and then you have leaf season, and so then you're into the leaf season, and that's when you're just picking up leaves all the time. And so then everything is like, it's the same thing year after year, but just different roads, but it's the same sequence. And then in between the jobs that are going on, you have crews, and you decide it's the stuff that you know you have to do. So what would be an example of like you're doing an extra drainage project or something that you have a list of drainage projects that we know we have to do, and they slot those types of drainage projects in. You have an emergency thing that a crew goes and does those types of things. But really the Parks and Grounds Department is basically doing the rails to trails. They know they have to cut all the trees back every year. They know that they have to do this. So it's the same sequence that they just keep on doing. And depending on how much budget is, then we know how much drainage work we can do, additional drainage work, because there's tons of work to do. It's just a question of how much time and how many bodies and how many crews we have to do the different things that go on. So organizationally, I think that's kind of how that works. And what Russ was saying, I think, was just a little bit more detailed on it. But as a we are definitely not what you would call like a high-tech type of highway and grounds department, and it's just that we're not like that. It's not all computerized, it's not all like that. It's much more old school, I would think.
Got it. So I would suggest then that there is we have lists of stuff and it's calendarized and it's in a lot of people's head.
Yeah.
There is potentially then a risk something could get forgotten or get missed and it caught up later. But I guess from the sound of it, even if that happens, you catch it up and it gets done. Is that?
Yeah, because like when you say really getting missed, it's not,
like somebody sends in a letter, there's potholes on this street. Oh yeah, you got that on your list and you forgot to do those potholes.
Yeah, that.
Okay, hold on. We do not forget the potholes.
Something.
So everyone's clear. The potholes get done. So I think we don't have a true complaint system, but people call, they email. We have a running list of, when Bill Becker calls every Thursday to complain about the catch basins plugged up, we get out there on Friday morning and clean.
That's what you watch to it.
Yes, we do. So these calls come in, these complaints come in, these requests come in, they go onto a list. Maureen keeps a list. We have a running list going, at the potholes, and that has to get done. That's on the computer. But you got to understand, like the guys who are doing the work, they print it off, they get the list. Here you go. And if something comes in, we get a pothole call in, especially we're in pothole season. That they get, depending on the location, the size of it, the severity, that will get addressed that day or the next day. We only have so much time to repair it by law. Otherwise, we're going to start paying for any repairs.
And then and again, how you have a checks and balances system is that by law, we are required to fix a pothole automatically, or when the next car goes down it and gets a flat tire, the town is then liable for it. We don't have those types of complaints. So we know that you're out there. It's just a standard kind of municipal practice. Now, let's listen, a pothole may have gotten missed. I'm not saying it never gets missed, but one of the things, and again, it's something that I take very strongly from the very beginning when we started here, is that every person, we're very big on, if you get a call, you're going to get a call back, or you're going to get a letter back and a tracking system. And and then again, things can get missed and it could be better, but it's not like we have this whole system where everyone's trying to reach us and we have a list of a lot of different things. Our policy is that if a call comes in and a highway grounds issue, a mailbox goes down. We get the mailbox done. We don't wait. And if we do wait, we try to put a letter out that says something along the lines of, this isn't you're on the schedule. Russ, drainage is always the thing. We have a drainage thing, blah, 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 blah. They go out and take a look at it. We acknowledge that there's a drainage thing. We say, we put it on our list. We track the list. I track the list. We have, and we go, we're not going to get to it for 4 weeks, but we're going to get to it. And then we go and we get to it. So it is a whole system, and it's more like instantaneous. That's kind of just how we roll. It's not, we don't wait to do any of these things, because it's just, that's how we do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. If I go to page, just a sec, 56, for the engineering administration and inspection, I see, we're still staying a total of 4.5 full-time, but we're changing roles through that.
Yeah.
Can you walk through what those personnel
And I'm
changes are and why we're doing that?
ask Pat to help me with this one too. So this is one of the things that we've talked about quite a bit in Russ's area, is that we're trying to do some succession planning. We're trying to get things straight where we can find people to do what we're looking for their jobs. So Kat, maybe if you can roll through on that.
I'm sorry.
On page 56.
I was doing the motions.
Sorry, yeah, 56.
56.
Current to proposed.
All right. So previously in Russ's budget, we had 2 civil engineers. Both of those civil engineers are no longer working for Farmington. So instead of going out for a civil engineer, we got a project superintendent. As you guys all know, we have a ton of projects going on between wrapping up the high school, the 1928, all the HVAC projects that we have at the police, the highway, the senior center. Our project superintendent oversees all of those projects and helps us manage all of those, the splash pad, the pickleball courts, the building over at the Westwoods Golf Course. So instead of hiring for 2 civil engineers, we moved one of those to a project superintendent. Assistant town engineer is going to fill that second civil engineer position. We're looking to get a higher level engineer to complement the project superintendent as we train them and get them up to speed. The idea is both of those would grow with our organization. And then everybody else, chief of party was previously a full-time position. There was a retirement a number of years ago. So we brought him back as the part-time surveyor. We tried, Russ, how many times did we try to go out for?
3 times.
3 or 4 times to try to find a surveyor. So our retiree has stayed on and helped us with that. Construction inspector and construction inspector trainee, we've done some movement with those. The construction inspector goes out on road jobs, on developments, and keeps an eye on behalf of the town to make sure everything's up to our specs, up to the plans, and the project's moving along appropriately. So previously, we had a construction inspector and a construction inspector trainee. We found that having 2 construction inspectors with the knowledge and the understanding of the specifications on projects is more valuable for us. So we currently have one, and another one starts next week, which is very exciting for us. And then development permitting coordinator has stayed the same. A part-time development permitting coordinator is half in this budget and half in the building officials budget.
Got it. Okay.
A little bit of movement, but it's worked well for the organization.
Part of the problem is trying to find personnel. There's a shortage of engineers. The consultants, DOT is swiping them up, and it's difficult right now.
Understood. So on highway and grounds, so those 28 and a half personnel that you have in there, are we fully staffed?
What
or we,
page is that?
page 46.
Okay, thank you.
So we have, for highway and grounds, we have, 28 and a half people. We have had that for a while.
25.
on page, it's actually 45, the unmarked page is where the people are listed. Are we fully staffed, or have we been running for some time behind? And
So Kat, why don't you speak
Where are
to
we?
that a little bit?
So budgetarily, we have one vacancy currently, and that's our maintainer 3 position. A number of years ago, probably 2 or 3 at this point, we made some eliminations of positions in the highway and grounds department. So right now, we are just 1 vacant position in here, but over the past couple of years, we've lost 2 positions in the highway department.
okay. I'll stop here and let my colleagues go on. So.
All right, thank you, Bruce. Nadine?
So just on page 49 regarding the snow and ice control, just on the budget around the overtime, it looks relatively flat. Given, like, was that based on kind of the recent amount of snow?
Well, again, what I said with the overtime on this, we look at a bunch of different things. We go through, we do averages, we do different things that go, but it really fluctuates, and a lot of it can be on when the snow happens. If it happens on the weekend or on a Sunday, because we have to pay double time. So there's a lot of different factors about it, and we do, Russ and Jim give us the numbers. We look around to see what it is. And again, like if we took like this year, you know, that's going to put it in the average, but then we know that hopefully this was just a spike. So we look at that and say, hopefully that's not it. And we back it out. And again, just like the police budget and whatever that average is, it's stuff, we probably take it back a little bit from that. We've done better with these because they're big dollar amounts. We've done better with over the years of actually funding the accounts, what I call appropriately, funding them, because technically what we would do is that this would go over and then we take money from somewhere else and something else doesn't get done. And when the budgets were really, really tight, there were lots of accounts that were like that. And so when all those accounts were really underfunded, and what would happen, but over the years, we've been trying to bump them back up so they're not underfunded. But the reality of it, some of these are still a little bit underfunded, I would say.
Yeah, I just looked. To me, it just seemed like it was lower than I would have anticipated.
Yeah.
And then Bruce had answered or asked the question I had on some of the roles.
Okay.
Russ, how are you today?
I'm good. Good. A little hungry, but it's okay.
There's enough there. It's not Pepe's, but
or Keith's.
So just back a little bit, and I get the fact that we rearranged the chairs a little bit, you know, and I think Kat, great explanation. But is the assistant town engineer that's slated here, because obviously there was 2 civil engineers and now you're going to a model where you have a project superintendent in it. Is the assistant town engineer going to be a PE?
That's what we're hoping for.
That's what we're hoping for, right? But
or at least an EIT. So
or an engineer in training, one
correct.
or the other. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
The problem, like I keep saying, and I'm getting people to come because we're equal to a consultant.
Right.
As far, you know, we pay well, but we offer it basically everything, but we don't offer the glamour. Right. So that's the hard part.
Right. And so with that, I mean, because I think it's important, we need a professional analysis, right? I mean, I think you know, I know, we all know, and hopefully that can be successful, right?
Right.
Because although I think the project superintendent model is fine, you know, you get that person who can oversee things and really understands the ins and outs of construction and timing and means and methods and all that. I do think they bump up a little bit to that professional expertise that they don't have, that they supplement at times with contractual services, right? You go get a consultant to fill in where you might not have somebody on staff, but hopefully we can fill that assistant. I see this as fine as long as we fill assistant town engineer with the credentials.
So myself and Shannon Rutherford are both licensed.
Right.
professional
Right.
engineers.
So I know right now we have, you know, that covered. So
And one of the things, Dave, and we've talked about it quite a bit, is that, you know, we've gone a little bit because we've had a couple of what I would call high level people, because that's kind of, you know, the whole idea of how the structure is set up with Russ being the director. All the other departments have a high level person that reports to us. So the water pollution control person, high level, reports to Russ. Jim in the highway department, high level person, reports to Russ. In theory, the engineering division has a town engineer, high level person that reports to Russ. But what has happened when we've had that, and we're talking for long periods of time here, of course, we've had those high level people, and again, going out and getting a job more like a Russ type of job.
Right.
And so Russ has done double duty of being the engineer and being the boss of the engineer. And so, but then we were hopeful a few times of bringing in civil engineers to groom them, to try to get them up so then they would handle that end of it too.
Right.
And it's just, again, the pay, the different things, and now the market of it is, you know, it's I would say in general, if you went back 5 or 6 years, it wasn't like it is now.
No.
It's just
Right. No, of
really
course.
in a
There's
time.
infrastructure projects everywhere.
Yeah.
Money is flowing, and when it flows,
Yeah.
you go where the money is.
Right.
These big engineering companies can definitely sweep up almost any credentialed person that they want, right?
Right. So,
Right.
but anyway,
Totally understand that.
yeah, but we are really happy, not good right now, with our project manager, and really we feel like he's kind of what we always call the Farmington way, and he's new, and we like him a lot, and we're hoping that, you know, he's going to stay for a while, and however we have a restructure of whenever in the future, we, you know, whether we hope that he's going to be a high level person for us.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you don't have that person like
Yeah.
the person you're identifying right now. It's just that when you get to a situation where it would require an engineer to gain certification that this is ethical, right? And that if the project superintendent doesn't have that credential, doesn't have that expertise, then you're kind of in between a rock and a hard place. To the point where, as long as the project superintendent is also not freelancing as an engineer.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So, and we know that, but I mean, these are some of the things that might be pitfalls.
Yeah, no, I fully recognize that.
Right.
And that's listen, Shannon got Shannon about 10 years ago.
Right.
She came as the assistant planner, and I met her through a few projects, and she is sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And being that she's an engineer, a licensed engineer, and she's on planning and zoning, you know, she's zoning. And then Bruce Sear is there as well, he's a degreed engineer. Another guy who has been here for 30 plus years, and there are very few times where him and I and Shannon don't see eye to eye on a drainage issue or a transportation issue, or we sit down, we collaborate daily on, you know, the plans that get submitted for TP&Z, and we have a very extensive plan review process.
Right.
And most consultants, and when we talk to other towns, they're like, you do that, you know, like I can show you, like, our plan reviews are incredible.
Right. I've seen
so. Yeah, and they're very detailed, and there isn't many stones that we don't unturned or we don't ask those questions.
Mm-hmm.
But I fully understand what you're saying and appreciate it. And there is no intent to bypass that. We need to have another licensed individual.
Right. You know, I think, I think that understanding is definitely understood, which I think is great. And I do compliment how it's, you know, right now. So, the other question that I had was, Kat talked about you're bringing on another construction inspector. Did the construction inspector trainee not move up?
He left.
He left.
He left.
Yes.
Correct.
They moved out of town. So when he moved on, we evaluated what the needs were, and having somebody with more experience on these road jobs, because, you know, like last year we had Burlington Road, which was an extensive road reconstruction. Having somebody there, while you have all the other roads that are being paid. We need people with experience.
Right.
And then again, to be upfront, when we got the trainee, but we really wanted a construction inspector.
Yes.
So we got the trainee because we couldn't find a construction inspector, but we were hoping that potentially that the trainee would stay and grow into the position. It didn't happen. But our intent really in Russ's area is the higher level people.
Right.
But unfortunately right now we're having trouble finding, but we did now, someone's coming on board next week and that seems like it's going to work out. Hopefully it's higher level construction.
Right. And then like the construction, I am assuming like if you concrete samples for sidewalks, they look at it, make sure it meets spec and all that.
Correct. What we do is we hire an independent testing
lab, IMTL or whoever.
Yeah. We'll hire them to come out, and we're doing like the sidewalk project in Main Street in Farmington. They came out, took samples, and we build that right into the cost of the project.
Got it. The other question I had was over on building inspection, which is back on 40. Is it 44? Which again, I think was, I don't know if it was supposed to be in this section or it stays in that section or whatever. So the assistant building official, that's a vacancy now?
Correct.
Okay. So we have a building official. We don't have an assistant building official. Are we looking at any kind of, we're trying to hire for that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
we're trying to hire
for that. Yeah, I think things go in spurts. Before we couldn't find planners anywhere. I think planners are still hard to find, but again, we lucked out because we got someone like Shannon who's an engineer and trained into it. Right now, another difficult position is building inspectors.
Right.
Very difficult. So we're trying to get another building inspector to help, but we have a new building inspector who's working out very well for us. We got him from Manchester, and he's working out very well. And in the meantime, we are also have an agreement with Simsbury to have some overlap.
Got it.
So we have that.
Okay. And then the last thing, I guess, on leaf pickup, you have private contractual services that could supplement leaf pickup if we need it?
We could.
Okay.
We haven't used that.
We haven't used it. It's in here as like a possibility.
We hire people.
That's temporary help.
Oh, that's just temporary help. Okay.
Temporary labor.
Got it. Okay.
It's not actually a landscaping company to help supplement our collection. We do all the collection. We hire temporary labor.
Got it. Okay. I'm good.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you. Staying on page 44 for a minute, we had an assistant building officer, full-time building assistant, and now we're looking for a part-time. Is that?
So, yes, we are looking. It's a funding issue. So, what I want to do, I would like to have someone full-time. What the problem is we've had part-time inspectors before, but they end up being a retiree. Nothing against retirees. I don't want to put that bonus out there. But they're not looking to do plan review. They want to come and do simple inspections and things. It's hard to find a willing, go-getter to be part-time, because who wants to work part-time? And there's not a lot of part-time building officials that are next to, Avon, Burlington, and Canton, and Simsbury, and Farmington all have two part-time, and everyone's sharing. It doesn't work that way. Everyone needs a building official at the same time during a busy season. Our busy season doesn't really slow down, even in the winter. We're still pumping out permits and things are coming through. But it's more, that was a funding issue that we've had a little discussion over on this side of the aisle that we're working on. But I would prefer it to be a full-time position.
So is that then the difference between the department request and the manager recommended? And then my other question is also like a staff personnel question. Kathy mentioned in her budget presentation that one of the things we could consider is adding a highway maintainer. Can you explain how that would help you, what that means?
I'd be glad to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking that question. I'm going to get the hook pretty soon. So I think it was 2020, Kat, when we had the reductions in staff personnel.
around that time.
around that area. So we lost a few bodies over time, and by budget, we're at full staff. If you go back in time and count bodies, we're under. And what it does is, like, as we got to talking about Bruce's question, like when somebody calls for a pothole, I got to have somebody get out and take care of that immediately. Having a couple more bodies and would suffice our paving program. It would suffice the leaf grower. I wouldn't have to hire temporary labor, things of that nature. It is critical to our operation. Like if somebody calls and complains, it's hard for me to say, hard, it's a fact, but hey, it's going to be a couple days. Nobody wants to hear it's going to be a couple days. It's going to be a week. But I don't have any people on the bench waiting for that call to come in. Not that they would be waiting, but with more people, you can free things up if something pops up.
And then Russ also is that and the chief talked about it, it's the same type of thing that we're an overtime based organization. And the highway department people don't want it. A lot of them they want time. They don't want overtime. I mean, they want their own time. They don't want overtime. And one of the things is that with our benefits and things like that, we have a lot of vacation time and a lot of things. And that with the bodies being down, we're basically running one less crew than we used to run most of the time. So when you're doing road jobs and you used to run 3 crews out doing different things, we don't have the bodies to do that and it's even just that one. It's because people are taking their vacation, people are having this, and so you have to run one less crew because we do need a body to do some of these miscellaneous things that are coming in. It's just part of the maintenance of the organization.
Right. An example of that is we would be doing Batterson Park Road. One crew is doing that work, getting it prepped for the paving. Another crew is doing a drainage project. That third crew would be the crew that would be, hey, we got it New Britain Avenue. I got to mill and pave 1,800 feet to get rid of the potholes. That would be the maintenance crew going around and doing those kind of miscellaneous projects. Without having that, and when we got to do it, we still have to perform that function. Something else has to give. So getting back to like Bruce saying, hey, how do you keep track of all this? It's a circle that, we're on a merry-go-round, right? And it's fine. It doesn't happen right away as efficiently as I would like it to be, because I got to pull that paving crew from prep to go pave this temporary, put a mill and patch on some other road. But having that third crew is critical to making sure that every year we get all of our maintenance work done. When we have to postpone maintenance work, it delays and you're going to degrade sooner and quicker. So the quicker we can maintain something, it'll last longer.
And I don't know and we'll put a plug, he's not here. We didn't ask him to come, but I don't know if you guys know Jim Rusbason, he's our highway superintendent, but I mean, how many generations Farmington is he? Unionville. Yeah. And let me tell you, he takes a lot of pride in making sure like these different things, because he's it's everything like I say about Russ, it's his father or mother's taxpayer dollars, he thinks of it like that. And it's, again, we have a lot more land to maintain and do a lot of different things, and he really takes pride and he wants to get to these different things. And it's not just the roads, it's the parks department too. You don't want, as Keith so nicely mentioned yesterday, about Union School with the back not being mowed, and it's because yeah.
I didn't say it wasn't mowed.
It said it's too tall.
Yeah.
It's too tall.
I was trying to get my kids some more speed out in the flat.
Yeah,
Yes,
so, and those are the niceties that, again, he really takes pride in those different things and pushing it and having just an extra, we're down. We could use 3 or 4 bodies, honestly, for the work that we have for highway and grounds. But if one would really, like I said, it would be a priority.
And what we've done over the past couple of years is we've taken a full-time body out of highway, put him up at Westwoods Golf Course to make sure that that's running the way it needs to run. Otherwise, that gets decimated. So we're kind of, it's a chess game, right? Trying to put the fire out where it's the biggest fire is, so we can diminish that.
And one of the things we did for the people that are new, and Bruce, just about the organization, not a lot of towns, we're a public works department, is a full public works department. So our water pollution control people, our highway and grounds, they're like in the public works, highway and parks, they're all maintainers. And water pollution control are in water pollution control, but everyone's required to have a CDL driver's license. And because of that is that we can take the whole public works department and use them all for snow plowing. So you wouldn't typically have a water pollution control person in another town plowing snow. We have them go because they're all part, and our union contracts are written that way. So they're all part of the big organization, the public works organization. So someone in development who we just hired is that the construction person has a CDL driver's license. So if he wants to, we could again order him in to do it, but he can plow snow for us. And so we've set up the organization to move people around. So, and that's like, so sometimes if we have something like something happens in Parks Department and we have a long-term person that goes out, someone from the Highway Department can slide in and do that. So contractually, which seems for someone that isn't that involved in municipal, you think that's normal, but really with union contracts, it's very difficult to do those types of things. And all our contracts are set up so that Russ can move all people around where he needs them. And so that's helped us with the fact that we don't have enough people. So that's, you know, part of how our structure is.
Russ, you mentioned Westwoods. My recollection is 7-8 years ago. Did we hire seasonal help for Westwoods golf?
We do. We have
We still do.
We still do. We
Okay.
have one full-time seasonal, and he's fantastic. Knock on wood, he keeps coming back. It's great. And we put in the budget, and I can't, did it stay in?
I think it's in the fund, in the Westwoods fund.
It's in the Westwood Fund. We have
Okay.
to put another full-time seasonal personnel as well.
What's the, I know Kathy, you mentioned it in your presentation, but what's the budget impact cost of adding a highway maintainer?
I think, what did we write? With benefits and full-time,
It's roughly $120,000.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions, Russ. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't really have any questions. We've been pretty well thoroughly grilled in a good-natured way. But
I welcome any questions.
exactly. No, I just want to say, as respects to the Burlington Road project, it is beautiful. Your town did a phenomenal job, and as someone who rides that road every day and sees kids riding their bikes over there, it's safer. The angles are better. It's an example of a really great road project, and the kind of thing that makes me, looking forward to hopefully bring another bond to the community so we can continue that kind of work. It really is an extraordinary. It did a great job. It really fantastic. Didn't like riding on gravel for 5 months, but that's okay. It was exactly. My questions were about the Westwoods Fund, but I think what I would rather do is kind of maybe talk offline about it, just to educate myself a little bit more. I know we're going to talk a little bit about it in recreation. I'm excited. I really feel like that's an opportunity for us over the next 5-7 years. I know you have projected revenues of a little under $1 million.
yeah. So Russ does the maintenance,
Right.
Jesse does the operation.
Do we approve it as part of Public Works?
Not only the Westwoods maintenance.
Oh, wait, Westwood's made. Okay, then I'll talk with Jesse about
Okay,
it.
yeah.
But I will say, so for example, we're bringing forward an aerator for capital.
Yeah.
Is that something that your department would
Correct.
be using? Okay, all right, and that's for the greens and the tees and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Is it big enough to do the fairways as well, or is it just? Oh wow, okay, great. I mean, I think that's an important part of bringing that course to a place where people really want to look forward to playing.
Right.
And that's
Jake
gonna.
does a great job with it.
Oh my God! For what resources we've devoted over the years, the fact that it's still in the condition that it's in is really a testament as well to the team. So I really don't have any. I mean, you asked a lot of questions, and I know what you do. I'm grateful for the work you and your team
It's all
do.
good.
I have nothing for it.
One comment about Burlington Road, that was paid for through a grant through LOTSIP through Croc.
Mhm.
So it didn't come out of the road bond.
Right, but you did it though. You did
Yeah,
the work.
So, yeah.
So
I just want to make sure it wasn't.
Oh,
be
fair
clear.
He wanted to add the plus to the A.
fair enough. Right, that's right. That's the cherry on top. We didn't even pay for it.
Well, we all paid for it.
Actually, no, I do have one question now that I think of it. Maybe we should keep talking, right? I went to the sidewalk committee's presentation, and it was discussed in public comment, various potential options. And this is obviously going to be a thing that we're going to be considering over the next weeks and months. And some residents had asked about the town maintaining sidewalks. I would imagine if that was added to your plate, it would be a substantial financial challenge for you. You'd have to hire more people. It would be a massive financial commitment if the town is charged with maintaining sidewalks. I guess you think about maintaining sidewalks in two different ways. Snow and ice removal is one thing, right? And then damaged sidewalks and root tops and stuff like that might be a little different, maybe a little bit more manageable in some respects, but you'd still need more staff and it would still be a significant add to the budget, right?
Absolutely.
Right, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. You're probably looking at about 5 or 6 guys at a minimum.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we'd really have to discuss how that would be taken on.
Right.
Would it be phased in? Would it be jump right into the water, all, everything in, now all in, we're taking over everything?
Right.
It would be substantial.
It'd be a massive commitment.
Plus equipment.
Right.
Plus, money for material and, yeah, absolutely.
And that's not including if we decide we want to put sidewalks.
Correct. That's totally separate.
That's a whole other
Correct.
challenge. Gotcha. Thank you, Russ.
You're welcome.
Average cost for new sidewalk milled, put in is comparable, if not the same, as road, right?
Correct.
So we're bonding $4 million for road. We're getting a certain amount of miles. It would be about the same if we were putting new sidewalk.
Correct.
Give or take.
A little bit less, but yes.
I apologize if I'm being repetitive. Can somebody give me a 1 second or 1 minute break? What's the connectivity bike grant on the capital side under engineering?
So that is, do you want me to answer?
Yeah. I know what it is.
I'm sorry if I'm
I didn't want to steal thunder. That's a grant for doing a planning grant to go from the center of Farmington out Route 4 towards Yukon.
Okay.
And that was through through Connecticut Deep.
Okay.
Like a sidewalk or a bike path.
Correct.
Yeah.
A bike path.
Bike path.
Okay. And we discussed that you have many, many trucks in need of service. There's one in the capital right now for you.
Yes, sir.
You said you have 2 very old trucks. And then you also discussed need for supplemental services to get snow off of the new municipal campus. Can you tell me what your priority would be if you were to get another piece of equipment?
Yeah, both. But my priority would be a truck.
One and one A.
It's a truck. Because, and here's the reasoning. The truck is a useful, a 365-day-a-year piece of equipment. The snow blower that would attach to the loader, we'd use it in the winter. It's a useful piece of equipment. It would get used after a storm was over. We wouldn't use it to clear the snow from the parking lot during the storm because we got to get it open. It would take too long. It throws a lot of snow, but plowing it with the loader, with the snow blade on it and the plow is a lot more efficient time-wise to clear the parking lot.
Yeah.
If we were to just use the snow thrower on the loader, how many of you do your own driveway with a snow blower compared to a snow plow? It's the same situation. It would take too long, and then we're into school, and now I only have, depending on when that storm ends, we want to be ready for school. We don't, and I take this personally, and so doesn't Jim and Scott Zinke. I don't want anyone saying, and Kathy Greeter, I would hate to have her tell me that I was the cause that she had to close school. I wouldn't give her that upper hand. With all due respect to her, but we pride ourselves on being ready for a school opening, depending on when the storm ends. So that it would be a truck, Keith.
Cool.
Then the snow blower.
I think that's it. I think everything else is asked. So thank you.
All right. Any other follow-ups before we do a TA? Do we have a motion there?
What pages, Kathy?
Hold on. Kathy, you have the papers?
Don't forget building official.
Are we going all the way
public
back to
safety.
44?
Okay, so page 44, that would be one TA.
Okay.
And then the other TA would be 45 through 56. Yeah, so 44 through 56.
I can do them all at once.
Yeah.
Okay. Make a motion for a tentative approval of pages 44 through 56.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Russ, are you going to start milling those light poles?
What?
You going to start using your mill for light poles?
Yeah.
Some fallen trees.
So
Knock that out of the capital.
we do our tree contractor that we use. He brings us logs now. We have him bringing us logs so we can make fence posts. We make I told you about our sawmill, right?
Right.
That we bought a few years ago. Thank you to Mr. Swetsky. So we make our fence posts with it. We make logs, wood out of it for fence posts, for mailboxes. We grade stakes for the garden plots, for surveying. We cut them all ourselves and
Yeah, that's cool.
have to pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks, Russ.
Are we doing community services next? Russ, thanks very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, Russ.
Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't hear it. Oh, yeah. Hey, Russ. Hey, Russ. I'm sorry.
Marshal.
I thought we hit fire marshal. May I? Oh, I thought they hit my Sorry. Sorry. The refuse fund.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask Joe to go through that. It's the brown tab, pages 72 and 74. And this one, I think we had our little math error. Joe, do you remember what the correct numbers were for this one?
Yeah, there was my fault. I gave Kathy bad information on the fee, and Kathy indicated that the fee was going to be increased by $13.20 or something like 5%, and it's actually going to be increased by half that, and it's a 1.88% increase. So it's going. The number we gave you was correct. It's going to 276, but my base was incorrect. I'm sorry. It's going to 282.20. The base is 276. I originally used 268. So it's a 2% increase on the fee for next year. And again, this fund is basically the landfill, the collection and disposal, and the hazardous waste. And the landfill is really the brush pile that we use. That one's pretty flat. So there's big expense there is actually hauling out the stuff that we get. And Russ could explain we're doing a new process this year.
Yeah. So we've been looking at ways to save money, as we always do. We're going to double grind our brush this year to come up with a double ground mulch to see how that works and what the outcome of that is. We went and visited a guy who did it, who does that. And Jim and I are convinced that we should give it a try. And I think it will end up being a cost savings and produce a better material for, instead of the compost and the wood chips, you'll have a ground mulch. So we're going to give that a try this year.
All right, Keith, you have any questions?
I do not.
Bill? Nope. Patty?
None, thank you.
The only question I have is on refuse containers, because people get them and then they're there for a while. Like if they fall in disrepair because they're out in the sun, the weather, the cover begins to crack. I've heard people say, my can's filling up with water. And is there a way to switch them out?
Yeah, so our sign guy, we have a guy, employer does signs and painting, part of his job. Since we started the carts, he'll go and repair them. We'll go out, if we get a call, we'll go out, bring the cart back, work. We can basically repair it.
You can refurbish it to some level of performance.
Correct, unless sometimes the truck, the hydraulics mess up, it cracks the whole can.
Yeah.
So we have to replace the full cart. But we purchased new lids, and the bad thing is we can only purchase black lids.
Okay.
So they don't match the blue recycling or the maroon garbage. So we get grief on that, but it's what we got to do.
Right.
But yeah, we repair them as best we can.
Yeah. And so that's just a call to your office or
down to the highway garage.
Highway garage.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. If somebody comes up to me, I'll let them know.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. And I think it's on the website as well.
Oh, it might be. I mean, I just haven't checked the website.
No, that's a good, maybe we have a newsletter coming up. We should put that in there.
Yeah.
That we do repair them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I would just say, and just make sure they know they might get a different color cover.
Right. We try to do
avoid the calls.
Yeah, we do. We let them know, and it is what it is. But it's still, you see it, and it's like, ooh, yeah, but
I mean, we could have vanity covers, and you could charge them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
You know, so if that happens, you can take that.
Yeah, I take that call. But how often do we buy new carts, Joe?
Every year we buy 100.
100,
We always
okay.
make- So 1 year we'll buy 100 of the recycling carts. Yet next year we'll buy 100 of the trash carts.
Got it.
That's what you see on that page 73. So line materials and supplies under that $1,000.
Okay, yep, yep,
That's for the actual replacement carts.
got it. Okay, that was my only question.
Thanks. Nadine, anything?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Bruce?
I'm all set. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have a motion on the T if there are no other questions.
I make a motion to tentatively approve pages 72 through 74.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
And then I think we may have approved it, but it was really under, because we had a question. It's page 28 is the fire marshal, which is actually under Russ, not under Lance. So this is the fire marshal's account. The one item that we always like to mention, because it's just it's a big item in our budget, is the hydrant charges is $1,311,960. So we pay a hydrant maintenance fee to the various water companies providing water service to the town. Hydrant fees are essentially a utility that the town does not have any control over, and there are 898 hydrants in Farmington, and most of it is the Connecticut water, the 741. But it's a real big ticket item that's in our budget. So, and that's under the fire marshal's budget.
All right, any questions, Bruce?
Nope.
Nadine?
No.
Dave?
No.
Patty?
No questions.
Bill?
Nope.
Keith? All right, there's no questions, but we have the TA.
I make a motion for a tentative approval of page 28.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Russ.
Thank you.
See ya.
Do you do community service next, or?
I don't have my, what's the agenda? I lost my agenda.
Community services next.
Okay, community service, Nancy.
Yeah.
Lori? Yeah, we can introduce Lori.
Absolutely, exactly.
Nancy?
Hello.
How are you?
And I don't know if everybody knows Lori Charno.
Hey, Lori. How are you?
Yeah, don't make me spell it, but she's our supervisor of our supporting services.
We're going to the yellow tab.
Yeah.
57.
Yeah, 57.
Community services. So this is community services, and we have Nancy's budget. It's relatively flat. I don't know if you have any questions for Nancy.
Do you have any questions, Keith?
I don't. I think Nancy does a great job. The budget looked relatively flat, like Kathy said, and you know, I know some of the capital things are always paid for through grants and things like that. So, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
All right, Bill.
I don't have any questions pertaining to the budget. I do have some other stuff that I want to talk to you about offline, but it's really nothing to do with that. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Patty.
Yes. Sorry. On page 61, Hope Partners, as you know, has come and asked for an increase for the town donation to their services. And I see here that there's a line for funds are also included to pay Hope Partners for administration of Meals on Wheels.
Yeah.
Can you provide more information on the differences between the donation and what this is?
Yeah. So this is the administration of the Meals on Wheels program. It's most towns in Connecticut pay for the administration. Most times they pay for a part-time person to administer the meals. So we pay that same fee to Hope Partners.
Okay, and is this fee's been paid year?
Probably 28
So
years.
it's not a new.
It's not a new fee. No, it's just for them. We pay them to administer the program. I did put in for an increase this year.
Yeah, so Nancy did what, do you have the numbers of what you?
I absolutely. It's 10,000 and change, but I can give you the exact figure. Yeah, so we give them 10,800.
Okay.
That's on top. Okay, thank you.
And propose you're increasing your dial-a-ride drivers from 2 to 3, or what? Because I know we've talked about
not really.
dial-a-ride a
We
lot.
have 2 part-time and 2 per diem. And one of our part-time used to work like 3-4 days a week. They work 1 or 2 days a week. So they're kind of one of those per diem who works more regular per diem, although they're not a part-time. So I think it's just to reflect that. Okay. That's accurate. Yeah. Yeah. So we have 2 part-time and then per diem that fill in as needed. Depending on when we need them.
Okay. And last question I have, because I think I ask this every budget year and I can never remember. How is the stone house currently used?
So the stone house has been used for recreation. They have since vacated and they're up there. So we have to have some conversations about that going forward. So
Yeah, so the stone house was vacant. And then when we merged Nancy from recreation, Jesse and her team were at the stone house. We put them back into the stone house, and now they are out of the stone house and in the town hall. So the stone house is now vacant.
And it came back into this budget.
This budget.
Okay, thank you. Because at some point, were there apartments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's all my questions. Thank you, Nancy. You do a great job.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Dave?
Yeah, a couple questions. One is if you go to page 57, and again, it's kind of similar to Russ, but your department request on the personnel side was 211,767, and obviously in the proposed budget here, the recommendation is 184,557. Is that what were you envisioning, and what maybe are we stepping back from?
I was requesting to move a part-time to full-time. So that's why you'll see nothing in the part-time, but that was restored to part-time.
Oh, okay. And what's that part-time person?
For the community service aspect. So the community education, the groups, the information education, and overseeing the housing and things of that nature.
Okay.
Kind of the person that works as my assistant. So I was
Got
asking to make them full-time.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And then on the next page, which is 58, I was just curious. On Section 8 Housing Administration, the state is broken up, isn't it? Like, would it got a contractor and there's different, like, doesn't Hartford, West Hartford, what used to be Section 8 office, maybe in West Hartford, that covered so many communities, or, I mean, am I missing?
That's a regional Section 8. We manage 90 vouchers for the town of Farmington.
You manage 90 vouchers for the town of Farmington.
And we do contract out for the inspections. We used to years ago do the inspections ourselves, but as it became more just detail oriented and it really needed someone who had that certain skill, we now pay an outside company to do that. Lori had been doing the Section 8 part along with the counseling, crisis services, and all of that. So this budget, I've moved the Section 8 for the part-time community person to be able to do. And that's why it's decreased the amount, because it would be helping with that.
Okay. That's the only 2 questions I have.
All right. Aideen?
I don't have any questions. I think Nancy, we've worked in the past together, does a fantastic job balancing all the activities and works 100,000 hours. So I appreciate everything you do and being the services for our town.
Thank you, Bruce.
Just a follow-up to Patty's question with respect to Hope Partners. I understand the administration for Meals on Wheels, but if I look at the mission statement for elderly services, it seems to be that there's some overlap there between the 2 groups. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, and then and perhaps Lori could help me. Our elderly services, the folks that work there run the senior center. They run the programs. I know one of our ladies actually came on Tuesday. She did a great job to talk about that. So we oversee all of that as well as the supportive services, and that might be for homebound seniors to go out, provide case management, clinical. So Hope Partners is an agency that we refer to often because they provide Meals on Wheels and a loan closet. I see us as kind of first stop. Go out, do the assessment. We have clinical social workers doing that. And then we set up a variety of services. It could be Meals on Wheels. It could be a visiting nurse. It could be, whatever it is that somebody needs. So they are one of our partners that provide service to the seniors by doing the Meals on Wheels.
Got it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. I'm all set.
All right. If there's no follow-up questions, could we have a motion? 58,
I'm
57 to 67, I believe.
Yeah. That's it then, right?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, though. Thank you.
make it
Thank you.
make a tentative. I make a motion for a tentative approval of pages 57 to 67.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Our final contender?
What?
Our final contender? Recreation?
It's recreation.
We're
You know,
finishing with a
Jesse
little
and
fun.
You know, Jeff, her assistant. So recreation is on page 68. And so the recreation service account has been increased as line items associated with the administration of recreation services were transferred in from the recreation fund. As you know, we have a recreation fund, which is a special revenue fund, and we have this fund. Additionally, accounts were added for the operation of the splash pad.
Did you say 68?
68.
68.
The pickleball courts and the Westwoods Recreation Complex. It's the pink tab.
Pink tab.
Yeah, pink one. So we did have the,
Fun.
1 month.
so we do have now, with recreation being broken out in a full, and how long have you been here now?
Just over a year.
Just a year, okay,
Right.
so, we have the director and then the one page, so I don't know if you have any, comments on the recreation service?
Let's see. Where do we start? Would you like to get us started? Why don't you get us started, Keith?
Sure. So you've been here a year. I think everything I've heard from town manager's office has been very positive and everything, and I've seen positive change as well. How has it been sort of as you come to town, untying the maybe knots that could have been there from years of doing it maybe differently than you would do it? Has it have you been able to I guess put your own sort of stamp on stuff? Are you finding things are moving in a direction that you like?
Yeah. I mean, really.
I mean, that's a layup of a question, but I mean to say, like, I know that. I guess here's my question: the town of Farmington is weird with some of the recreational services, right? Like baseball kind of does one thing, soccer does one thing. Used to be run by Al Bell for years, and then it's also been under the recreation service. It was also under Nancy before. There's been a number of different sort of like
relations
where there's like, so when I say knots, it's like these weird things where everybody kind of talked, but everybody sort of also did their own things on an island. So how has it been like having one home for it?
It's been great. Everybody's been very supportive. So anybody I talk to, whether it's Nancy, Russ, Jim, has been willing, and Jeffrey's been a huge resource. He's been here for 23 years. He's a wealth of knowledge, and Kathy as well. Everybody's been giving me answers. I do find that I am definitely communicating a lot with everybody, probably asking more questions than they would like, and it does require a little bit more communication.
Yeah.
But I'm friendly, so it works out. We just, I call them and I bother them and I get the answers that I need to make things work. And we're pulling things from different areas and working collaboratively on whether it's the playgrounds or Westwoods to kind of start to build it in a different direction. So I think it's going in a great direction.
Yeah, I think one of the things is that we're somewhat siloed. I think it's kind of what you were saying. We're siloed, and I think you've said a couple of things to me that you find differently. One of them, it is, again, typical Farmington, is that Jesse has found that more towns spend more money on recreation in their budget than less in the special revenue fund. We try to put everything in the special revenue fund instead of into the recreation budget, in the operating budget. Yeah. So but we're going in a different direction now. So that's kind of changing. The town is supporting recreation more so. So that's part of why we split off and did that. The other thing is that what is different, and it's the merging, is the whole who's in charge of what when it comes to the maintenance of stuff. And it's a recreation program, but is Jim's guys, as the parks guys, in charge of that, and the maintenance is doing it, But who's in charge of deciding what gets done? Is it driven through recreation, or is it driven when someone sees the baseball net that's ripped? Who's paying for it?
Yeah.
Who's doing it? And now with Jesse, we're trying to incorporate policies and procedures with the school. When the school, what was the latest thing that we were talking about? The scoreboard.
Yeah.
When the scoreboard goes, who is responsible? One, that it went out. Who's telling who? Whose budget is it coming out of? And who's in charge?
Yeah.
And that type of thing.
That's exactly where I was coming from, because it's like I think it's great that we have a recreation director. I'm glad that that it's in its own spot. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Where it's, I think, I'm guessing, but I think it's probably you and Jeff probably deal a lot with, you know, requests for fields, but then there's these different branches of the rec sports, but then there's also the high school thing, and there's people that independently want to have their own thing going on. You know, they just want to have games and things like that. So being able to filter all those things through. So I mean, my questions aren't really from a budgetary standpoint, but it's just I guess the goal would be as much of that as we can put under. Is it more useful to try to just keep removing those silos and putting them all under the umbrella of rec?
That's what we're trying to.
And then it'll be more efficient, because I mean, from a parent standpoint, and just ease of use for rental, I think it's just the more that we can keep going in that direction, I think is what we would like.
Right, and that's where we're aiming to go in that direction, and have someone that's coordinating it, and where it's a rec thing, and it works out because everyone does it in friendly, and so what we've charged with Jesse with is, you know, what is kind of best practices to it, and we are doing it. We just don't have any policies on it. We don't know what, and so these are the things that we want to start creating and having her create, so it's all under recreation and everyone knows the rules, and then and it's not just rules, it's just everyone knows who's responsible, and then not everyone's going like this all the time, and so that's one of the things that we've tried to talk. And Jesse will come and she'll let me, she'll, who's doing this, and I'll be like, it's either gym, the school, or, you know, or one you never do. Someone's doing it. And
so that was it. I just was hoping that we were kind of just moving in that direction, but budgetary.
Yeah, and we're collaborating to find those answers is kind of what I was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
But otherwise, I think there's a lot of, you know, there's so much positive between the grant at Tungsten Mead and other things that have been going on. So I appreciate all the work you guys both do, and that's it.
Thank you, Bill.
Just a couple of things. What's the latest in the baseball situation at Tungsten Mead for the summer?
In regards to it being open?
Yeah.
It's looking like it's open right now. The project is slated, the press box and dugout is slated for the fall.
Perfect. That's great. 'Cause I know this is a cohort. We've talked about that offline. There's a cohort of folks that want to have senior baseball, and that's great that they're going to be able to play in town. Kind of want to piggyback a little bit on what Keith said, because I think one of the challenges the school board has always had was with respect to rec, right, is the demand for the rec to use the school buildings, right? And there was always kind of like this hodgepodge approach, and, you know, who's paying for the janitors? We have to have custodians on site and all that kind of stuff. And it really was kind of like that, right? And to have a point person, because I know that in the wintertime, at least with respect to youth recreational stuff, the schools are really the hubs for that. And so to the point, Kathy, about developing policies, I would hope and I would imagine that under a new administration, the school district, there's going to be some kind of collaboration, some partnership, and how to, because that's a challenge, right? Because there's an economic cost attached to that.
Yeah, and we recently just had a meeting over, I forgot what I think it was the basketball, right?
That's great. That's awesome.
And with all the administration, and it's, you know, again, we had it wasn't an uncomfortable conversation, but it was one of these where I said to Jesse I said, everyone speak their piece here.
But that's important. That conversation,
speak your piece, and let's figure out what your gripes are, what our gripes are. Let's speak our piece, and then let's start establishing something in policy that we know what we're doing. And so it's, again, we're still working. But
it's a complicated issue.
Yeah, we're showing each other charts and basketball and this and that. But I think we're doing that.
Great.
That.
The last thing I talked to you offline about, I'm actually quietly very passionate about what's going to happen at Westwoods Golf Course, because, you know, I've always in the back of my mind, I've driven by, I've played, I taught my children to play. I mean, it's a big part of my family experience in Farmington. There's many. And I've always felt like it's a resource that was just underutilized. It was underdeveloped. and for lots of reasons. There's no like recrimination attached to that. It's just, but I think as you mentioned before, we are living now in a community that has different expectations about recreation and services, right? We talked about that at the beginning of this last month. Community expectations are different. I think Westwoods is actually an interesting opportunity because as you develop it out, and again, I'm not looking, say, oh, you got to put $2 million in capital each year for the next 5 years. That's not what I'm saying. But as you build it out incrementally, it becomes a better quality experience, and that generates more revenue. And then that's really, I think, because in the back of my mind, if we could get to a Rockledge Light, Rockledge West, Rockledge Golf Course in Startford, which is a fantastic moneymaker for that community, and it draws people from all over the region to play there. If we get something, like half of that or a quarter of that, we're doing really well. So I'm just here to tell you I'm an ally and I'm a partner wherever I can to help in any way.
Well, and we worked, one of the things when we had just come in for interviews, we talked, you can tell quite a bit about Westwoods of exactly that, a resource that we haven't done, and you play the golf, but we've talked about it a lot of times. It's just flipping the driving range the other way and having a sign. And we talk about, when pickleball potentially an entrance. And so that driving ranges are big money makers. And, and hopefully with Carol's and some different things we talked about that Carol, you could bring things out to the driving range, food and drink, and have it more like what's the golf course, Stanley or whatever.
You can actually have a cocktail place.
Stanley. Right. So it's really, and we're taking, small steps, but even just the little things of just cleaning up the clubhouse and having it painted and having some different things. And we've talked about partnering, redoing the patio and talking about regional programs up there at night because it's so pretty up there. No one goes and sits out there and having, you were saying with having a band up there or music and having some different family events. And so it is with just golf, but the whole.
No, I remember going to a family event at Stone House. We used to have outdoor stuff there years ago when the kids were little.
Yeah.
Ice cream Sunday night.
Ice cream Sunday night. Yes, thank you. Right, and it was awesome. Thank you. I'm excited about what you're doing. I'm excited for both of you guys. This is an opportunity for us. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thanks, Penny.
I just want to everything they said, but really, you do a great job, Jesse. I know you hit the ground running and came to us and you had grants. I think we're applying for grants within weeks. It was, I guess I do have a question on page 68 regarding staffing. And it looks, I know that the entire town is tight for staff and balancing but there was a fairly significant difference between the department request and the town manager's recommendation. And I've talked about it with Kathy, but I'd, like to, what type of staff are you looking for, needing, if we can also just plan out for future years?
And I will let Jesse talk, but just one thing, Joe, we moved some money into the rec, right? A staff person, right? So just so we have
okay.
Staff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Something from the rec fund.
Okay.
That entity operating budget. We cannot do that. We kept this to one person.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wasn't, with that particular request that you're saying in there, I wasn't expanding my staff.
Okay.
I am asking for a secretary separately. But we, as we said, changing the trajectory of how the rec fund has operated in the past. We cover a lot of our staffing costs out of the rec fund. That is not very traditional in communities. Usually your general administrative staff is covered out of your general fund budget. So we operate a little bit differently and we've been very successful. We've had a fantastic rec fund that the team here had previously built up, which is great, but sustainable for long-term communities are going in a different direction. So this year we did ask to move one of our full-time people into the general fund, which would allow us to do more with other things, but we understand why it moved back and it can't be supported that way.
We should talk a little bit about the clerical issue, and that was on my budget now.
Correct. So with the split out from Nancy as a department, we used to share clerical staff. We no longer have any clerical staff. So now my program staff is taking time to answer those general question phone calls, or you're not getting a real person. And we really like to have fantastic customer service where you get a real person on the phone and not an automatic pick one, pick two, pick three. And we're happy to answer the phone, but sometimes we're out of the office administrating programs, dropping off equipment, doing different things. So even having a part-time clerical person is crucial to what we do.
And I think, again, there was a question earlier for someone that said, you know, what's coming in the future. If recreation is going to continue to grow the way that we are talking about, we're going to have to give administration help to the group. We didn't do it didn't put it in. I put it in as part-time, but you know, they're doing a wonderful job. But it's to grow the way that we're talking about. It's going to need a clerical type of administrative person in there. So.
Great. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Dave?
Yeah, the one question I had, the contractual services for obviously the Westwood splash pad and pickleball courts. I was just curious, is that going to be like a contract that you're going to let out? Like you're going to have a private entity come in and maintain that?
Cleaning.
I mean, cleaning.
Yeah, for cleaning the bathrooms.
Okay. And do you need to do anything to the splash pad itself, or you don't have to do anything like that? Do you have to, is there requirements to do that, but health requirements or anything?
No, you're not using a recirculating system. It's just in and out. So
Right.
you don't have the same cleaning requirements. And my understanding is that public works staff will be periodically checking on it, adding to their need for another person. But if I'm being honest.
Okay.
But we do have the new structure there. That's good.
Right. No, the new structure, I know. I figured that to some degree. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah,
like,
contracted is the cleaning of the building.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's the only question. You know, Jeff and you are doing a great job.
Awesome. Nadine?
So I'm super excited about all the recreational stuff that's taking place. So thank you, Jesse and Jeff, for this. The question that I have, I don't see a whole lot of promotional or any funding for promoting the new things that are coming to, like the splash pad. And I will see things occasionally, you know, on like a Facebook post of Carol's Lunchbox. And how are we promoting our recreational?
I think
new
the splash
things?
pad's going to be opening in May. So we'll probably you'll start seeing that more in April. We will start to gear up. Kevin, who recently joined our team, is working on a full marketing plan and kind of relaunching our Facebook and our Instagram because we were so intertwined with social services. Just as we were starting to launch our new Facebook page, we lost Ryan, who had been with our department for 8 years. So we did a little bit of rebuilding when we brought Kevin on. So you'll be seeing that rolling out very soon. But it'll also come through our email systems as well.
That's awesome.
Look, I think so. One of the goals are too, again, and some of this too is an administrative type of thing too. where
Right. You don't have the staff to support it
that,
as well.
that kind of thing. But I think the goal is the communication and with Kevin to get out just all our programs and everything. that
Correct.
goes
Yeah.
on.
Everything we have going on.
Yeah.
Right, all programs. I'm just saying, like, we have spent so much money into the splash pad. We're, you know, regenerating, to Bill's point, Westwood's golf course, which I absolutely love golf. So, you know, we've done a lot.
Yeah.
It'd be great to do like a revamping campaign of everything new and fresh and existing stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious there, but congratulations on your first year.
Thank you.
I too am supportive of the things we're doing. I think it's very exciting as well. Just a quick one: the 20K we've got there for water, is that solely for the splash pad, or are we sort of spiking out all our water?
No, I think
So
That's
that's
the
really
splash
what we
pad.
think it's going to cost to operate.
Yeah, because you're not using a recirculating system. But you would end up spending that on chemicals if you were using a recirculating system. So unfortunately, it's just one or the other.
All right, thank you.
All right, are there any follow-up questions?
Just real quick, great call on the aerator, by the way. That's going to pay a lot of dividends.
That was Public Works. I can't take any credit. Our JP, our superintendent is fantastic.
Yeah,
No,
that's going to pay dividends for years, for sure.
All right. Thank you, guys. Do we have a motion for a TA on this?
Is it just page 68, Kathy?
Yes.
I make a motion for a tentative approval of page 68.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
So the next tab would be the red tab at the back of the recreation fund. And that is around page
76.
And this is the recreation fund. And that has, if you see on the front page, if you look at this page right here, as you can see, you have the revenues that come in for the the sports, the cultural, the bus trips, the camps, the senior programs, the other revenue, interest and fund balance. And then you go in the appropriations, and then the pages do that, and the revenues and the appropriations match.
All right. Do we have any questions, Bruce, down at your end?
I do not.
Nadine, do you have any questions?
No, just like to see that there's still the Hershey National Track and Field. This goes back in time. For those of us in Farmington may have participated.
Did you win?
No.
No questions.
I don't have any questions.
No, thank you.
Well, since we don't have any further questions, can we have a motion on the TA for, like, what is it, 76? 84?
84.
I make a motion for a tentative approval of pages 76 through 84.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
The next one is right there is the Westwoods Fund. And that is page 85. So if you look at the front cover sheet, again, you have the revenues. It's the green fees, the season tickets, the golf cart rentals, the driving range, the lease, other interest, and then our appropriations. And as you can see that the revenues match the appropriations. So one of the things that we have been doing is, again, not only with the golf course about how it looks, looking at the management of it, the things of that type. And so with Jesse and our new golf pro, they've been doing some different things and looking at fees and looking at leagues and looking at a whole bunch of different things that go around it. So it's a work in progress because no one likes change. And so we're trying to like take it slow, but trying to upgrade some different things and simple things from what would you call into I'm not a golfer, to get your tea
time
and stuff like that. So, you know, when we, you know, just getting a computer system, doing some different things that were not back in like 1975.
Dedicated website.
Dedicated website.
We have that now.
Yeah, so we, again, it's a work in progress, and it's not just change, it's just, it takes time to do some of this stuff. And so we're doing that, but I feel like on both sides of what it looks like there, but also the management. So we're really taking a deep dive into it. And to be honest, we have really not taken a deep dive into the Westwoods Golf Course in some time. We had done it back probably a while back. We went through a lot of the things, but it's definitely time to do that.
So, why don't we start down this end? You got any questions?
New golf courts coming? Are they?
Yeah.
They're in,
Not in yet.
but we're getting them for the season.
Yes.
What are you getting?
The golf cart.
Oh, the cars.
Yes.
No other questions.
You're enhancing the user experience. At the end of the day, that's what's going to drive revenue.
Exactly. Well, that's to Kathy's point, because that's when you say there's a cohort of people that have been at that course for years and years and years and years, and there's one way of doing it. And so even something better takes a little time to get used to, but we're getting there.
I think the key is to the extent you can, certainly with our seniors, right? The amount of play that course gets from our seniors, because it's very affordable. We have rounds of tuxes that can cost upwards of I think almost $100 on a weekend now with a car. You know, to be able to, for seniors to get out and play and have a nice day, you know, have the whole experience for under $50 or probably cheaper than that. That's the one thing I would say we need to do is make sure that we keep that affordability piece to the extent we can for our seniors.
Great.
Thanks, Bill. Patty?
I do not have any questions.
The only question I had is, it's more kind of just an accounting question, is when the actual, like in 2020, 24, 25, when your appropriations don't, you know, you actually have a revenue surplus, does that get carried over? Is that what happens, Joe?
Fund balance.
Just fund balance. That goes into fund balance.
Every fund has a fund balance.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So basically, if there's a surplus, the surplus goes into fund balance. And fund balance. We have somewhat of a loose
That was me.
The fact that you knew that.
Yeah. What are you doing over there?
That was amazing.
10 to 12% of our reserve fund balance. Anything after that,
Okay.
into the program. So basically, to be honest with you, if you look back at the financials, 2 years ago was like the first time we actually had a positive fund balance. For years, this fund had a negative fund balance. In other words, it didn't have any money to borrow from the town.
Right.
And it finally paid the town back about 2 years ago. So now it's generating, it has about $100,000 fund balance. But we're using, if you look at the capital outlay line, we're using surplus put back into the program, into the operations, into like sprayer, sprayer with that money.
Mm-hmm.
Something improvements to the village.
Got it. Okay. Well, that was kind of where I was driving. So that's fine. Perfect. Good answer. Thanks.
Nadine?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Neither do I. I'm good.
All right, any follow-ups before we move on to a motion? 85 to 88 is it?
85 through 88.
I make a motion for tentative approval of pages 85 through 88.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thanks for waiting, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Take care, Jeff. See you, Jess. Thanks.
So we want to continue on?
Let's continue on. Yeah.
Okay. Revenues. So revenues are in the front where it says summary. And I will, and if you look at your tax and budget worksheet, has the revenue portion on it on the front page, and this is the breakout of it on after the red tab. So Joe, if you want to go through the revenues.
Joe, could you speak into the microphone so that way anyone online?
So under property taxes, the one thing I would point out is the supplemental motor vehicle taxes. And we talked about this in the past. There's been some changes in the law, and we thought that it would negatively impact the town, and it's actually hasn't negatively impacted town. So we're increasing that for next year, proposing to increase that for next year. Under licenses and permits, I would just point out the building permit revenue is that is down 15. We're projecting next year to be down 15% from the budget amount this year. And right now, the revenue down for this year is down also. Interest earnings, we talked about this last year. At some point, the feds are going to cut interest rates, and at some point, that revenue is going to go down. We are going to surpass our budget estimate this year, but according to the new incoming chairman, he's going to cut rates 4 times in 2026. So we're anticipating that rates will eventually go down, and so we're budgeted accordingly. In the state grants, and there's 2 items that are increased substantially. The pilot, these numbers are based on the governor's proposed budget. So anything could happen with the legislature. Usually it's more positive information comes from the legislature, but the pilot, and that's basically because of that's actually because of the reval 3 years ago, that we're getting a bump in that state pilot grant. It's about a $204,000 increase. And then last year, the legislature increased the town aid road grant. And so they're carrying it forward this year. So that's about a $130,000 increase. The one thing I would point out on the negative side, it's not a negative, but just a transfer. Police grants in that section is a 0 for next year. And that's because that $152,000 represents the grant that we were receiving for having the regional dispatch before Avon came on. So we moved that money to the special revenue fund that you went over earlier in the evening tonight.
Joe, I think there's a couple of typos in this column here. The municipal grants and aid and the supplemental revenue sharing show 100% change. They're both 0, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, they're both 0. They should. Yeah, I'm not sure why they showed up that way. Yeah, they're both 0. 0 change.
Numbers are, it's just.
Yeah, the numbers are correct. It's just that they're, On the charters for services, that's a slight increase. But again, the big one there is we were also getting regional dispatch fees from Burlington that were budgeted here when the dispatch center was in this town, in the town budget. That's about $43,000. And again, that's been moved to the special revenue fund. Everything else is relatively flat in there. There is a slight increase in the, which one was it? In the real estate conveyance tax based on historical performance. Had been declining, but it seems to be turning around a little bit despite the housing slump that we're currently in. And then on the second page, other revenues, that's flat or slight decline to that. That's the big number in there. That's the payment from Burlington, Avon, and Yukon Health Center to help us pay the debt service on the Clean Water Fund loans. That's $694,000. That will actually go down about $3,000 each year for the next 18 years until that loan's paid off. And then the transfer in from the Westwoods Fund, that's just to cover the cost. We try to budget for about 75% of the costs coming from the Westwoods Fund, the golf course fund, coming to the general fund to cover maintenance, cover the maintenance budget that you see in the Highway and Grounds Department. It doesn't cover benefits or anything like that. It's just that page that you see in here for maintenance in Westwoods that we try to keep, and that will be determined based on the play at the course. If the course does well, we make the 325. If the course doesn't do well, we take in less. But we're anticipating 325 for next year. And the last item is the fund equity or what we call the fund balance appropriation. This budget recommends $400,000, which is a decrease from the $800,000 that was budgeted for this year.
All right. Do we have any questions? Bruce?
No.
Nathan?
I don't.
Dave?
No.
Eddie?
Yes. It's a small item, but on the dog licenses, the 7-month actual is 7,000 and the estimated 12-month is 6,700. Why is it going down?
It's partially the way we account for it. The way the dog license program works is the town clerk's office issues the dog licenses and people pay us. However, at the end of the year, the state, specifically during the month of July, the state will send us a form, and that form basically will require us to report everything we've taken in, and then to give them a check for 50% of what we took in. So that number will actually, at some point, by July 1st, that number will actually jump to around $14,000, and then we'll have to actually cut a check out of that and remit it to the state of Connecticut for their share of the cost. So that's why you see it go high, and then you'll see it come back low.
Thank you. And on the fund equity appropriation, last year we appropriated $800,000. My understanding is we've not used that fund and those amounts, and we don't anticipate that we'll need to.
Right now, the projection is if you look at the estimated 12 months and you look at the revised 2025 numbers, you'll see that the estimated 12 months is about $634,000 higher than the revised budget amount. And that's without using the $800,000 from fund balance. I'm pretty confident in those numbers, with one exception. There is a grant that could have, waiting to see the results of an audit, and we do have a grant that we received that potentially could have a negative impact of up to $200,000. I normally have that audit by now. It has not come out. It's released by the state of Connecticut. It has not come out yet. I don't know why it hasn't come out. But that potentially could adjust the revenue downward by $200,000. We still would not touch the fund balance, however.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Bill?
I don't have any questions. This is my first time going through the budget. Boy, it is excellent. It's really well prepared. I just want to say thank you for it. Was easy to follow. It was easy to understand what you were trying to convey, and the information throughout this entire process has been excellent. So I just want to say thank you.
All right, Keith?
Just for the sake of saying it, again, my understanding is from talking in the past is, so let's say even there was a negative effect of the audit, just say we had the 800 that we haven't used, and then it ended up being 400. Any leftover funds always just go to the next year's fund balance.
Right.
So we'd be basically carrying forward back into our fund balance 1.2. The thought right now.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, everything at the end of the year just filters back into fund balance.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, positive and negative. If you have a positive result of operations, you increase fund balance. If you have a negative result of operations, you decrease fund balance.
Actually, follow up to that question, and that would also be true. So on the school side as well, so the non-lapsing fund, any money that they don't put into the non-lapsing fund would revert back to our fund balance.
Right. If they have whatever surplus or again, whatever positive result of operations they have. So if they underexpend their budget, essentially, if they don't put it into the 2% not lapsing fund, then it would come back through fund balance.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any follow-up questions, Bruce?
I actually have one. The building permits are planning fees. Are those determined by a town schedule, or are they in the zoning regs? They're our schedule.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's town ordinance for the building permits. But the town itself has the ability to set the building permit fee.
I was just wondering, when was the last time we reviewed them and changed them, you know, with respect to inflation?
We have not done that in a while. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but it would be probably something that should be reviewed.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will leave it with you.
Yeah. No, it's just we have just not had the opportunity to go through though. I would say though, that said, we are not like an outlier. I'm sure of that. You know what I mean? It's not like our fees are like 1990 fees or anything like that, but we should take a look. It's a good point.
All right. That's it. No other follow-up questions? Then do we want to do a TA on these?
It's called the revenue page.
Review?
I make a motion for a tentative approval of the revenue pages.
Yeah, second. I was just
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Is the group interested in continuing on?
I believe we are.
Yes. Okay, so I would suggest, because we're done with the budget, I suggest we take a little break.
Okay.
And then we'll get the tax and budget workshop, and I want to talk to Brian.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone, as we continue our discussion. Budget.
I'd like to make a motion to set the Board of Education budget for fiscal year 2026-2027 at $86,858,554, an increase of $617,571, or 4.35% over the current year budget.
second.
Discussion?
This is as presented by the board.
Yes,
So-
as presented by the board, no changes. Yeah.
All right, any other comments?
Do we discuss here the
board,
the monies that were maybe?
Do you want to do it as part of the capital?
That's part of the capital.
Yeah.
Part of capital.
Yeah.
Make sure we're in
Yep.
the.
All
I'll just say that we heard a pretty thorough presentation yesterday. I think we dove into what their asks were, you know, where you tried to identify what the challenges were. And I think we heard pretty loud and clear the challenges presented by special ed and the fact that we're financially obligated to handle that stuff by both state and federal law. And that's probably their biggest driver, that and contractual obligations for, you know, staff and employees, right? I mean,
good to know. Patty, any other comments?
No.
Any other comments?
I actually also really appreciated that they brought a number of things in-house, and that saved money. And now we have a better budget as a result of that. So it was a learning experience for me, but I'm really glad that they did that.
All right. So if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Would you like to do some additions?
Yep. Moving on to I'd like to add I make a motion to add $86,000 to the police patrol full-time account.
Second.
Discussion?
Just to be clear, this is the salary component. There is a second motion for benefits.
Okay. This is to add a patrol person?
This is to add a patrol person.
Okay, so that's something that,
They will be very pleased about.
yeah.
Well, it's the
Yeah, I
first
mean-
time we've done this since the 1990s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that right there says it all. I mean, I don't think
Yeah,
gotta go much into
There's
that.
discussion on that.
Right. I mean,
It's time.
The town. All right, all those in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Would you like to do another addition?
I make a motion to add $74,000 to the benefits and other account.
second.
And this is for the benefits for the police patrol.
Any further discussion?
That's benefits and it's inclusive of training to get this person up to speed and on board.
Everything. It's their full-time salary.
Correct.
With everything. Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
I make a motion to add $71,533 to the highway operations account.
Second.
And this is to add personnel as a highway maintainer, or to add a highway maintainer. And this is the salary component. There will be if this is passed, there'll be a second motion for benefits.
All right. Any further questions?
I think we heard tonight pretty persuasively that there's a desperate need for this type of staffing at Department of Public Works.
100%.
And I mean, the history of it is like you lost 2 maintainers back just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And, and I think we heard tonight about the constraints that those reductions have created. And I think this is a step in the right direction to hopefully relieve some of those constraints.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
I make a motion to add $48,467 to the benefits and other account.
Second.
And this is the benefits and other benefits for the highway maintainer that we just discussed.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right. And now I make a motion to set the town operating budget for fiscal year 2026-2027 at $37,738,588, an increase of $1,297,428, or 3.56% over the current year budget.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously.
I make a motion to set the debt service budget for fiscal year 2026-2027 at $13,985,252, an increase of $268,981, or 27.68% over the current year budget.
Second.
Discussion?
Nope.
Nope.
Well,
Sorry, what was the percentage?
27.68.
This is the debt service budget?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what it says.
Oh, it's
Oh,
1.96%.
I'm sorry. We did the capital. Sorry. That was, the numbers are right. Just the percent.
The numbers
I'm
are
sorry. Thanks, Joe.
So it should be 1.9.
1.9.
1.96. Got it.
If we hadn't asked, if we didn't ask you that question while you were typing it up.
Yeah, you know what? I think
I got your back. Yeah,
So you want to just restate it?
Yes.
Yes.
I make a motion to set the debt service budget for fiscal year 2026-2027 at $13,985,252, an increase of $268,981, or 1.96% over the current year budget.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor as presented, the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, moving into capital. I make a motion to add $320,000 to the highway and grounds capital account for a dump truck.
Second.
Discussion?
Again, we heard tonight from Russ the need for that equipment. This is a truck that was, vintage 1998, right? I mean, another opportunity for us, given, I'll say credit to not just the town staff but prior councils have put us in a position where we can make these decisions. So this is, it's easy in some respects to say, well, 10 years ago, or whatever, they made some mistakes. It's also important that we recognize, good decisions that were made that put us in the position that we can execute on that at this point. So I think this is just another example of, good planning can put us into a good spot.
Perfect. Any further discussion? Hearing none, do I have an approval to accept the motion as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Our next motion.
I make a motion to add $75,000 to the town manager capital account for a website redesign.
Second.
Discussion?
Just make sure we say this is, because this could feel like a want to, but this is also something that we're required to do by the state, correct, Kathy? This is like
There is components of
this
that we need to do by the state.
So there's some want to, some have to, and this is just the opportunity to get it done.
Right.
And this was part of our strategic plan as well.
Yes, it
So
was.
checks the box
Yes.
there.
And our website has not been updated in a long time.
1998.
No,
We're getting lots getting put on 1998 right now. So.
1998 is the year I met my wife. That's how long ago it was.
It needs a refresh, and it needs to do things based on state law too.
Gotcha.
Any other comment? All right, seeing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Our next motion.
I make a motion to add $50,000 to the town manager capital account for a town-wide survey that would also encompass questions about the town's requests or desires for sidewalks and how they should be handled.
Second.
Discussion, please.
This is another one that I think somebody looking at our capital could see it as a want to. It's probably the one that I struggle with most in some of the additions because $50,000 is a big number for a survey. I'm sure we will do it thoughtfully. I know there's a plan to put an ad hoc behind some of the questions. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, there'll be questions that hopefully get to the heart of like how we build things going forward and potential capital items going forward and how we plan some of those things. And I know sidewalks are a component of it as well, which I'm on that committee and there has been some requests for it. So, I don't love, none of us are eager to spend a bunch of money, but I'm not going to kick and scream about it beyond what I just said.
And I'll add, this is also another component, another item that we included in our strategic plan moving forward.
It hasn't been done, and our strategic plan is predicated to some degree on survey results, right? And the last time we had done a survey, I think we said was 2013.
Yeah.
So it's been 13 years since or at least 10 years since we've been out to the town, and I think that is to Keith's point. I agree. It's not something you necessarily want to spend money on, but I think we have an obligation to fulfill the strategic plan. It also allows not just this council, but councils behind us, or in the out years, to have some data, make some choices as we think about sidewalks and how we're going to handle that.
Had a lot of value. And we did it 10 years before that, I think, too. So it was each 10 years. It probably should be every 5 years, but every 10 years here. And I think that we've shown a lot of value in doing that, and it really does help our strategic plan. And I've been a big proponent of getting a sidewalk component of it. So I think it's a very good match.
Any further discussion?
I would just echo all the comments that have been said. I think it's going to be a valuable document. It's in the strategic plan. I think, again, I totally agree with Keith that it's not something we necessarily, we're looking to just spend money for spending money's sake. But when you look at the value that it can bring and the information it can bring forward to this council and others, and I just think it's invaluable to do.
Agree.
All right. All those in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
I make a motion to reduce the 1928 Town Hall building capital account by $60,000.
Second.
Discussion?
And I think the intent is that would come out of the what is it?
The furniture?
The furniture. The furniture. Yeah. So.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
I make a motion to set the capital improvement budget for fiscal year 2026-2027 at $4,237,000, an increase of $1,219,982, or 40.44% over the current year budget.
Second.
Discussion?
So my only thing on the as totality on the budget, and this will be my last, commentary, I guess, is just this does bring us to a total budgetary increase of, as we discussed, 4.74. The range that we had as our target was 2.75 to 4.75. And so we certainly hit that range, just barely. I just would want to use that to say, so next year, knowing that's a reval year, we're able to make some of these decisions and additions with our eyes wide open because we had a very good year from the revenue side. The grand list was very good. So we all feel very comfortable being able to make some of these additions that feel good, adding police officers, adding equipment, adding people in the engineering department. I think it's great. Because all of us will be back here next March. If for some reason that reval goes like it did a number of years ago, I'm not saying we have to commit to a zero increase or anything. I just hope that when we're doing targeting and we're providing a range, when we did that range, I said, my guess is that we end up towards the top of the range. And we did. And that's not say I told you so, just the way it worked out. We added stuff in and it just happened. And I'm along for the ride with everybody. I just hope that next year, if we're in that situation when we're targeting, we're really understanding that where that number is set early is going to be what that goalpost is for us. So, but beyond that, I'm comfortable going forward with everything.
So your original budget as presented with none of the additions, the increase in the expenditures was for something.
4.25.
Right.
4.25.
Okay. And that would have resulted in a tax increase of 3.3.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about your
original presentation.
The town or the
overall.
The overall.
Overall.
Okay, 4.25.
Right, 4.25.
Yep.
Expenditures, and I understand there's a distinction, and I understand that it's a material distinction, but it's important. We're spending in this budget 4.75% more than last year, but we are asking the taxpayers, that bill for that is only 3.5%. And that's, I think, that the story that needs to be told and emphasized, and that in that minor, because your 3.3 was a complete. When I say 3.3, your overall budget, that was purely a maintained budget. And when we had opportunities, we saw as we went through this process, because again, great practices, smart management, we had opportunities to go into the fund balance to address this, that these were real needs. So I think the story of the budget needs to be, this is built upon prior years of good decision making and prudent planning, with an understanding that these are things that are really essential, old and long and coming. You know what I mean? And I think ultimately that's how I would want that's the story of our budget to be framed.
And would you mind
Please,
if I add?
I'd love to.
I mean, the other thing I think that is part of the story is that, and this has been a longstanding story, is that we are able to have higher expenditures because we have great economic development and we have a great grand list.
Right.
And we are a community that's able to do that because our business community and things are supporting a lot of our budget. And so it's a full package, is that you're able to have higher expenditures and lower tax rates because of our economic development efforts that we have in this town. And that's part of the story too.
And you can look, and that, and I was thinking about how it's affected the grand list in the sense that, and we're going to see this unfortunately next year, the new high school has driven property values.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't have a house on the market in Farmington. It's gonna go. There's none. So I mean, the value that project adds, you add it all up, it really is. We're in a good spot. So this is really a reflection on your leadership, for sure. You and John, no question, Kat, no question about it.
Yeah, thank you all. Are there any other comments on our capital improvement budget?
No, I think I take the words that Keith said, seriously too. And I think for the last discussion we had right there, I think has kind of captured the opportunity. I call this an opportunity this year that we have, and we've acted upon it. And I think we've made the decisions around that to leverage things into the future for this town. So
Nadine, anything you'd like to add?
Can't agree more with my colleagues here.
I think we're investing where we need to. 100% flat doesn't prepare you for the future. And I think some of the decisions we made to add things are important investments to the future, which if we didn't do them, would come back to bite us later. So it's well worth it that we were able to take advantage of the opportunity that we had to make these investments because they're absolutely necessary. I don't think we did anything that we didn't feel was absolutely necessary, and we had to really be cognizant while we were making those decisions what we would pull back and what we wouldn't do. And I think there's some things that were initially proposed that are not being put forward, and I think that's also part of the story, that when people look at it, those things that aren't there and in what's going forward, that's an important part of the story too, as I just said.
How do you forget things? Bottom things come in separately.
Yes. Yep. Yes. This is just the.
Yep.
All right. The words I was thinking of very much were investing in ourselves and in our town. So it's very important. And they were very tough choices. So I appreciate the work that everyone put into making this happen. So do we have a motion?
the motion and the second.
The motion. So yeah, I meant all those in favor of the motion on the capital improvement budget as presented?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
I make a motion to set fiscal year 2026-2027 Board of Education defined contribution budget at $425,000, an increase of $75,000 or 21.43% over the current year budget.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the BOE defined contribution as presented in the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
I make a motion to increase the fund balance appropriation by $400,000 to a total of $800,000.
Second.
Discussion?
Able to do this because, as Joe explained, we did not use 800 appropriated from the fund balance last year.
Correct.
It looks like on top of that, conservatively, there could be even another 400 on top of that.
Right.
So we feel good about adding to this year because we did well in the previous year.
Correct.
So just so everybody understands.
Did you want to mention also the other?
Yeah. So, and then the other component here is that the Board of Education has a surplus this year, and that they're from $3.
The Board of Education is currently sitting on $300,000 and change in a non-lapsing account from last year's fiscal year. It was presented the other night that there is a roughly $200,000, again, a little bit more than that, currently on their salary line that is unallocated for teachers. They indicated that it was their anticipation that if things stay as they are, they anticipate that money will still be there at the end of the fiscal year. Therefore, so $200,000 surplus at the end of this year, plus or minus, which would create a balance in their non-lapsing account of $500,000. And I think what we heard last night from the superintendent was that 400 of that really needs to be encumbered for risk that they anticipate. Special ed, 2 special ed outplacements, I think was what was really a concern driver. And then there's another thing too that he said I can't remember. But that $100,000 was, something that they would, kind of accede to what our wishes were with that money. And I think what's been conveyed is that would be the expectation of the council, that they'd return that money, the $100,000 plus or minus, back to the council, back to the general fund, more precisely, at the end of the fiscal year. And I think that's the expectation. And I think,
correct.
And they've committed, to my understanding, they've committed to that.
Yeah.
And just to clarify what the superintendent was looking to make sure they had coverage for was for 2 potential outplacements for students who might have needs that the school district can't meet, 2 unanticipated staff members, any mechanical repairs or replacements that are not anticipated, plus unfunded state mandates, such as right now the legislature has a proposal for homeschool monitoring.
Thank you, Patty. Are there any other comments?
No, I think I think they touched it on everything that went into this decision. Yeah.
All right, all those in favor of the fund balance as presented? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I make a motion to increase other revenue by $25,000.
Second.
Can you make that 20?
20,
I
yes.
think I wrote.
I make a motion to increase other revenue by $20,000.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much.
I have the big one. I make a motion to set the Town of Farmington fiscal year 2026-2027 budget for the Board of Education at $86,858,554, or a 4.35% increase above the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. And the town operating budget at $37,738,588, or a 3.56% increase above the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. And the debt service budget at $13,985,252, or a 1.96% increase above the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. And the capital improvement budget at $4,237,000, or a 40.44% increase above the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. And the Board of Education defined contribution budget at $425,000, or a 21.43% increase above the fiscal year 2025-2026. Resulting in a total appropriation for fiscal year 2026-2027 of $143,244,394, or a 4.74% increase over fiscal year 2025-2026 budget.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
So the next item that we need to talk about is the warning. Yeah, so,
Do we want to talk about
yeah,
what's good?
what's going to go in the warning. Yeah, so right now you have, we should talk about the warning and the bonding questions.
Okay.
So,
Why don't we discuss the warning and the bonding question?
Well, I think you need to talk about what you want for bonding questions, because as Kathy's proposed budget included 3 questions, want to go with 3 questions, or you want to do 2 questions. Whatever you decide to do on that, it dictates what we do with the warning.
Is there a motion that we have to make to discuss it?
No. The only thing you have to do is approve the, make a motion.
Make a motion. Okay.
Make the warning. So the 3 items that Kathy presented, or I don't have my capital open in front of me. So the items that were presented for capital include the elementary school HVAC accounts, as well as it'll now be 2 the HVAC accounts.
The
motion
roads.
was presented for the roads. Thank you. The proposal was for the road. So the HVAC project's $14,339,152 for the 4 elementary schools, with an anticipated reimbursement rate from the state of 31.79%, and then a $4 million bond for road reconstruction, which is a recurring request for the town to approve so that we can maintain our roads. And then the third request was for a $7 million bond for town hall annex improvements, which would include design replacement of the HVAC system and renovations to the town hall annex and Staples House to accommodate new offices.
All right, so those are the bonding questions. Do we need to make a motion? Do
No,
we just discuss?
just discuss.
Yeah.
So where do we stand on these 3 bonding questions? Are there any that we feel that we need to have in there?
Roads.
Roads. Do we have agreement that we need to have roads in the bonding questions?
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Is there another one that we feel needs to be in there?
The K through 4
K
HVAC
through 4
projects.
HVAC problems. Do we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Again, there's a component of state.
Right. Plus there's a state reimbursement.
Well, state reimbursement, but there's also some of this is pushed by the state.
Right.
Right.
There isn't an actual state statute in place, but the mandates that have been discussed are no higher than 82 degrees in our classrooms. And our elementary school classrooms do exceed 82 degrees for multiple days in any given school year. Not to mention the working conditions for the teachers on top of the difficulty of learning when you're a student in a hot classroom. I know that when the board spoke with us about these, the goal is to aim for one, but maybe do two or multiple a year if they can make it happen logistically. But overall, the other component of the HVAC is it's not just cooling. There are state mandates for air transfer within the schools, especially after COVID, the state issued more mandates. So this project addresses both those state mandates and adds cooling to our 4 elementary schools.
Well, I believe the board had done some work on the cost difference between just the fresh air and then the AC component, and it seems silly to do one without the other when the AC has been discussed for a long time.
Right.
So I just think it's important when we're adding things like this to make note that it's like with the website, there's some want to and there's some have to, and this is another one of those ones where there's a bit of a mix.
Right.
And it's also a bonding question, so people will be able to vote on it.
Yes.
Any other comments?
Just to note that even though the warrant won't reflect it necessarily, the actual cost, in terms of incurred debt to the town is closer to $9 million once we get state reimbursement. So even though it's a $14 million sticker price, it's actually only $9 million to the town.
And just to be clear, the data shared with us by a town resident, it was fundamentally incorrect in terms of the number of days, right? There are many more than the 2 that were identified when that was presented to
None of us are weathermen. What is
Yeah. Fair enough. Let's work with accurate information.
Yeah. The metric is indoor temperature.
Yeah, that's the salient fact.
Yeah. The metric that we have to track is what the temperature is in the classroom.
So it sounds like we're in favor of those 2 issues. There's a third issue. Do we need to discuss that, or are we good with just going with the 2 that we have on the table?
Well, I think the third one, the town hall annex renovation, I think we've talked about that the last couple of nights. And I think it's just, when you look at those numbers of what we've bonded and, lately, I think there needs to be a pause on spending the money right now on the town hall annex, at least in my opinion. And just take a moment to take a couple steps back. Let's, get moved in on the top of the hill, really get settled in there, understand the relationship of what's still here, and then do a further study, maybe an ad hoc committee that could really begin to take a look at this asset that's been, kind of left behind in that move. But look at it for all the opportunities that we heard about and maybe haven't heard about yet. And so that we could get the best recommendation and then act upon that. So it's not saying that we're going to abandon this building, never come to this building and just leave it in a very kind of minimal state, but it's just taking a new approach where, setting up an ad hoc study committee to really get into the granular aspects of it, of making that decision is the direction I think, we would probably be beneficial for us to take, and then take this one off the table as far as any kind of bonding action for this year.
Anything to add to that? Nadine, Bruce?
I think I echo the things that Dave was saying. When we made that investment in our beautiful new town hall, which is really terrific, we didn't really have any additional thoughts about what we would do here. And I think now is the time to, as Dave said, put together some team to look at what the best future for that is before we dive into it and really take the time to look at those decisions and what the right and best use for that is, which really wasn't done at the time we made that other decision.
Is there any further comments? Just one. Are we?
I was just going to add, think one piece that Dave may have missed was just around, we also have the firehouses.
Right,
I think there's more of a need around prioritization of other expenditures being the firehouses that we're looking at as part of our planning in the future. So that's the only thing I would add. And, of course, seeing this isn't going to go away, but it's just maybe needs a little bit more discussion and planning.
Thanks for that. Reminding me. Did leave it out.
So it sounds like we have consensus that we may want to table this particular bond issue for another time and put together at some point another subcommittee or chance for us and for the town to explore what might be the best uses for this space, in addition to us being here on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, so if what you've said, we have one copy of the warning that I think people have to.
Yeah, so basically this is the warning of the annual town meeting and of the referendum. I unfortunately have one copy, but you're more than welcome to read it, or I could read it to you, or you could just trust me on it. It does have.
If I have to make the motion, I'd like to see it before I make the motion.
It does have the 3 questions. So
we have to all use
not this building. It has the 2 bonding questions and the annual budget question.
Right.
And you got to read that?
Do we have to all
I'm
use
not going to read it now. I'm going to.
Why is it termed a warning instead of a notice?
Oh, okay. Just because
It's
And
I
then
think
that's
it's actually charter language. Somebody, when they wrote the charter, put in there that you warn the people. It's more like you're warning everybody that there's a meeting taking place. So if you don't come to the meeting, it's on you that you didn't come to the meeting. We warned you. Like maybe tell your kids don't touch the stove; it's hot.
It's like the old town meeting language where they rang the bell and everyone came. If you didn't, you were warned.
Well, now it makes sense. I really wanted to give Chris Hohab a tricorn hat.
Right.
Hohab probably has.
Oh, yeah.
He's a civil war poet. Yeah, he really has that. Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the warning of the April 20th, 2026 annual town meeting and the April 30th, 2026 referendum.
Second.
Discussion?
You read it?
I read it well enough.
Patty, you're acting as my attorney and you read it.
Oh, I am not acting as anyone's attorney. That's not going to be on the record that I'm anyone's lawyer.
That's right.
I will say that legal counsel has reviewed it.
Okay.
That's good.
Other than those of us who are.
Actual legal counsel.
Yes.
Okay, so
We have to vote. I made the motion.
Okay, a second.
Second.
Okay, no further discussion. So to accept the motion as presented,
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
opposed, passes unanimously.
And we all have to sign this, right?
Yep.
Right.
Does that have to be the same?
Sign in your space indicated and give it to Mike, and Mike could date it and post it, legally post it.
Ink color doesn't matter. Whatever we want.
And
Mm-hmm.
and then I think you should make 2 more motions. One will be the adjournment, but the other one would be to cancel the March 14th, 16th, and 17th town council meetings.
14th, 16th, 17th. I make a motion to cancel the March 14th, 15th, 16th, 14th, 16th, and 17th town council meetings.
Second.
I think
All
we
those
should
in favor of the motion as presented?
We should come
Aye.
Saturday.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Good luck.
And
All right.
you're done.
All right. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Nice job. Thank you.